rolling? I'm teabagging over here.
Teabag.
You can see that in the camera.
Let's say teabag master.
All right, it's going. All right, cool. Well, Devin, first off, welcome to your first time actually on the this side of the table, this side of the cameras.
Right.
This side of the cameras, essentially.
Yeah.
So
hanging out on the other side, feeling like Jamie from Joe Rogan most of the time.
yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do it like this.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey man,
you had enough practice.
You know, in all actuality, it's kind of cool because the first garage talk we did was talking about the release of new bikes.
Yeah.
So the first podcast live in front of the camera is talking about new bikes. So that's kind of cool.
I didn't even think about that. That was kind of
that was the kickoff for the garage talks. We were going to talk about the new models.
Fuck yeah. Well, speaking of that, I think the word, I don't know what best describes it. I don't want to. My TV's gonna be tripping again. We were watching the Harley drop videos just recently, just to kind of get some talking points to go over and talk about on this podcast. And I was kind of looking for a longer video with more. You know how like when Apple drops a new phone, or like I think you call it Techtober or something like that.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that, where it's like this whole like drop of information, new models, what's changed, what's added.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was quite a few things added to these bikes that I felt like something to talk about that would have probably been better.
Yeah, so like Harley's always done a really good job of making like a big event where you kind of get excited about it. We talk about it because they set the date. And really there was none of that, but it was kind of like behind the scenes. Everyone was like, hey, it's this date, it's going to drop. And it's usually in the morning.
And it's usually around 10 or 11
Yeah, like 10 o'clock in the morning. I remember it being like between 30, 45 minutes long. And it's got a little bit of like the corporate people from Harley. It's got some promo like commercials in it. But it goes over even like the clothing, everything, everything they're doing. Like it's a full rollout.
You know what's probably different and changed? There wasn't any leaks. Just playing by the rules now, baby.
Right?
So, you know, I guess when you have like the leaks, it gets people more excited about what's coming, especially when you have new models and whatnot.
Right.
And even though I don't think there's no new models on this drop, I do feel like there's new things about certain models, like the Lowrider ST getting a handful of upgrades that I'm very excited about, actually. As a guy that's owned a Lowrider ST, and Connor over here, actually that's his main bike, is the Lowrider ST. The gauge, having an actual gauge now, is very handy. Even though I did like the sleek design and the simplicity of like the digital readout gauge that was in the handlebars on the previous models, having a gauge and seeing that, it's just way easier to focus your eye to the thing that you need to see, like RPM or speed.
Absolutely.
And then this, instead of like seeing one screen that's like so small that has a lot of information packed in and having to scroll through it to get different information. So I thought that was a nice upgrade in itself there. You know what I mean?
The ST is kind of like it's the touring model for the Softail. It's like a baby baggers that we refer to it. So the thing is to not have that full like capability with that little gauge, because that didn't originally come on the Street Bob, which was supposed to be like a stripped down. That was supposed to be like a bare bones stripped down setup. But then you put the stripped down gauge system on the bike that's the like fully loaded Softail. Just kind of felt weird. So I'm with you on that. It's a little easier to be able to look. I remember when I rode your ST a couple times, like I was like searching around trying to find the shift indicator and what gear I was in, because I wasn't used to that bike.
Yeah, you lose your place in gear? What are you, a child?
No, man, it's just, you know what I mean? Like that bike felt weird for me because I'm not used to riding the mids. Honestly, what it was for was when I was trying to kick it up into first, because being so tall, when I would try to kick it up, a lot of times it'd kick into neutral. So I'd like glance real quick before I'm, go to lay on the throttle, and I look like a complete dork.
Yeah, I would say that. And I'm a big fan of like, another thing they changed is the actual hand controls. Yeah. So the actual gauges, or not gauges, but the housings for the hand controls, they're all very sleek and they look good. And that's one of the things that I've always looked at on all motorcycles, because as just someone that is staring at them a lot, whether it's painting them or customizing them, you notice like big, bulky, or unaesthetically looking, hand controls where it's it doesn't flow with the bike. And I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of the new stuff on the Road Glides. It seemed kind of like a lot, but then again, there's a lot of stuff going on in the new models with the the screen, and there's a lot more technology in it. But this design is so streamlined and clean looking that actually looks modern, but actually more simplistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I dig that.
Doesn't feel like you have a big remote controls like attached to your handlebar anymore.
Exactly. I dig that. I dig I like the fact that they made the bags even. Although I prefer the shorter bag look over the longer bag look. That's just personally, aesthetically looking at it, it's just always been something I thought was a better size. But obviously, like someone that travels a lot, like having that extra space is
I get that's why they did it, because it fills that open void. It gives more luggage capacity for anyone that's wanting to travel, wanting to store stuff. Yeah. I like the look of the 2-in-1 that they set up with it now a lot better. Like
getting rid of the gold wheels too, and having black wheels and stuff like that, I think is a good option. It gives you a chance to separate yourself between the older models and the newer models, right? So like if you have the same options again for the what would it be, the third year of the ST, then that would have been kind of getting redundant and not having enough change, even though it's just simplistic stuff. But if you really think about it, how many people are really going to the nines on these bikes the way that you've seen it being done on the Dynas for the last 10 years?
No.
Yeah.
So I did like it wasn't in the rollout video, but I did see one that they posted with like a blue ST.
Yeah.
That's got the chrome trim, and it's got the wing logo. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw it, I like had to send it to Kyle. I was like, hey man, they should just have you styling your bikes at Harley now.
Yeah.
Because it's that same vibe, dude. It looks nice. I like the fact that they kind of leaned into that culture, a lot of the younger guys that ride have leaned into a lot of that, more vintage Harley decor and graphic styles. And I noticed they're starting to do a lot more of that. So, I mean, they're obviously listening. And then when you get into the custom paint jobs that they're doing on some of the upgraded paints, like you cannot say that did not come from the performance world.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, if you follow how like the FXR world has been with the way they've been painting bikes, like they want those old, nostalgic decals.
Yeah.
And they try to, because there was a lot of really famous ones that took place from the beginning of the the AMF era, and they kind of rounded out, ended right around the mid 90s, maybe late 90s tops. But a lot of really cool logos that came on the tanks, like the Liberty Edition, obviously the bar and shield with the wing off of it, that's just iconic and classic. So many cool decals. So I think them bringing some decals back, kind of to the point, like it's got the look that everybody's kind of going for on the old FXRs and stuff.
Yeah.
And even like a lot of the Dynas I'm seeing now, like they're kind of putting factory paint jobs with colors that are different with a cool sick ass logo on the side of it. You know what I mean? So,
which I think is cool. I mean, it definitely makes the branding better. Not that there's anything wrong with what they've done the last couple of years. It's just I'm not a huge fan personally of like the plastic stick-on decals. Yeah. That's honestly one of the reasons why I ended up getting an Electric Glide, because I like the painted bar and shield logo on the tank rather than, just a stick-on plastic that comes off.
Well, for us though, as painters, like the stick-on plastic thing was a nice. It was easier to just pop that off and put a rubber wheel on it to get rid of the glue.
Sure.
Than having to sand out the decal.
Yeah, I get it.
And then float it all out, whether you have to prime it or actually, just feather it all out. So paint-wise, it was easy for us to strip those down, throw some new graphics on it, and send it down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The paint jobs, it's definitely like the flames are. I mean, flames. I was actually having this conversation with a buddy 2 days ago, and this is what I think is happening, because flames are always. They're never out of style, but they do get.
They go in waves.
I don't even want to use the word played out because it's not really the word, but they get overdone, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what I think flames are in the timeline of existence of custom motorcycles. It's the period between the next thing. It's like forever it was affliction style, airbrushed out, skulls, roses, Axl Rose kind of fucking vibes. Then it was like, then it kind of rolled into the panel paint job era. And there's like small times in between these that like there was a big flame movement. Because, as a painter.
I get what you're saying. So essentially, it's the safe bet.
Yeah.
When you're changing trends come and go, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this wave of this trend that we're going to do this and it's going wrong. And then as soon as it starts to kind of maybe start to fall off, we'll just go back to tried and true. We'll run flames for a little bit till we can figure out and iron out what the next trend's going to be.
And I mean, we've been doing a lot of flame helmets over the last couple of years, and the bikes themselves, like we did the brown one last year for Cowboy Harley, that sold immediately once it hit the floor. And so I think the flames are kind of like that period between the next style of paint that's probably going to be dominant, which I think is already kind of here, but it's not, everybody hasn't kind of like accepted the style yet, right?
Yeah.
So same thing, like panels were never, like they were happening in 2010, 2011, but they weren't not everybody was doing them. It wasn't the paint job yet, right? But then when the Dyna craze took over, it just became, it. And, until the rest of the world's like, okay, yeah, this is cool. It's like they did a couple flame jobs here and there. You know what I mean? So it's like it's the purgatory in between.
I've never thought of it as purgatory, but yeah, no, it is. It's never like over the top cool, but it's not out of style. It's safe.
Yeah. I mean, a good flame job is a respectable individual. You know what I mean?
Flames is the Chili's of going out. Is that what it is? It's the safe bet. It's the safe bet.
It's the Texas Roadhouse. Let's be real.
Oh. Okay. All right. That's fair.
Good service. Have you ever been to Texas Roadhouse and been served by like shitty employees? Everybody's happy. They're not quite as happy as Chick-fil-A, and like, you know what I mean? But I've never been in a Roadhouse and be like, man, the service here sucks.
That's true. I think that's because people tip there good, because it's a steakhouse, so you think you're going to pay a lot, and when it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be going to a steakhouse, you end up tipping more because you budgeted more. People at Chili's aren't as happy. Every time I go to that place, it reminds me of the movie Waiting. Oh yeah. Don't send it back. Just salt. Right? Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of my thought on that. So the flames is a good little touch. And what's cool is that like if it's like a flame job that could get people like acclimated to it. Yeah. And so then they maybe want to get a custom paint job that is actually like, outlined and, more in your face kind of flame.
So I'm not a fan of factory flame jobs myself, but I do like the fact that it was subtle.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, to expand on that, what's kind of funny, when I first saw the custom paint jobs they're doing, like the graphics and the flames, the first thing I thought was, wow, I wonder if Steven from Illinois works for Harley, because if you think about it, he's got a Road Glide that's got the black subtle flames like that, and then the Mustard King, which basically has the same graphics in different colors.
Oh yeah, the other graphics.
Yeah. Yes. So like I was like, oh well, all right.
That's the Springle style paint job.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
When they do factory paint jobs, and I'm assuming here, but based on like what I know about the helmet thing, is that you have to do a repeatable process, sure, and it has to be something that you can make essentially like a stencil or a decal that is like easily placeable, like you can put it on and it's gonna go. If you were to do like, say, the flame jobs I do on an ST bag, I mean, slightly off, and it's so noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to like if you just have that bottom flame, and plus it's like not everybody wants to have such a loud paint job.
Totally
get it. I mean? But that's why it leaves it open for the person that's like, you know what, I think flames look good on a bike, but I would want them to be more noticeable. I'll get a regular one, and then paint that one up. You know what I mean?
I admit the black. I like the black on black with just a little bit of the airbrushing around the edge.
Yeah,
that's really subtle. I like that.
That style of Ghost Flame was literally back in like the early 2000s, like 03, 04. We probably, when I worked at the shop that I kind of got my start in, we probably did 2 or 3 like Softail, because that was the main jam back then. 2 or 3 sets of those a week, and all you would do is like take the chameleon paint or a pearl, and you just airbrush. You lay out the flames, tape it off, and just airbrush around the edges. And so when it gets into the lick of the flame, you got the edges are closer, so it looks like it's completely like filled in.
Yeah.
And then it opens up on the other side. And it's tried and true way of doing flames. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool. I dig it. The geometric looking stuff, I don't even know if it would say that, but just the block kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying as a painter, it's not something I would ever have painted.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also like, well, I'm kind of more interested in, which is once again why I would love to get the access to be able to talk to some of these people that work there, is like, where does this come from? Like where, I know how I find creativity and ideas to be creative on. Mm-hmm. So where does that come from? There has to be some kind of advertising or something in the world that's coming together.
Yeah, what motivated, inspired that to come out that way. Yeah, I'm with you. Like as soon as I saw those bikes, it just reminded me of two people right off the bat. Forever Rad, because that's how a lot of his graphic style is laid out, and then that and Monty Roach. Like, I just think of Kenny's ST, and I was like, oh, okay, it's that, but out of the factory. Like, I guess. And I'm not knocking that because I love Kenny's bike, but that's what it reminded me. I was like, I feel bad. It makes me feel bad for anyone that has that style of paint job, because now I feel like if you paid a lot of money to have that done, it gets watered down a little, because now you're gonna have a bike that looks fairly similar to yours coming from the factory. So you're gonna pull up
the OG now,
right? You pull up to your local bike night, and all of a sudden you got 4 bikes that look almost identical.
Everybody in the world's always talking about. I mean, dudes will literally get their bike painted blue. And then next thing you know, somebody else comes around and paints their bike blue. Graphics look nothing alike, not even in the same wheelhouse. And yet everybody's online going, these motherfuckers copying us and blah, blah, blah. It's like some people are just colorblind to a deeper degree, I feel like. But, sorry, I got to pull out this condom. I'm on my hot tea kick right now.
Tea. I'm looking too, because one of the things that I will say that I was a little disappointed in is the fact that the videos being so short didn't cover all the new trims that came out.
Yeah.
You've got the Road King that's back. You've got a Pan America CVO and a Pan America ST.
I don't know. They didn't really.
Which they didn't cover any of that.
Well, I don't think I've seen the ST on the website yet,
though. Yeah. So you have a Pan America 1250 ST.
Oh, they do? Is that
yes,
what it is?
It's on the website, and then you have a CVO Pan America.
Okay.
So is there no standard anymore?
You have a Pan America Special.
Okay.
You have a Pan America ST, and you have a Pan America CVO. So part of the part that's confusing about that is the Pan America 1250 ST and the Pan America 1250 Special have the same MSRP of $19,999.
So is it like a color package?
What's the difference? So that is it just the wheels? Because I see the Special has spokes. The ST looks like it has alloy wheels. So it's just kind of interesting. I would like that. That's where I feel like maybe they missed a little bit, because that could have been discussed. Like,
so the ST is kind of more designed to be on the street. So it's a sleeker, like the body is a little bit sleeker. The
windshield looks shorter.
Yeah, it's got a different front fender.
Well, and maybe that's why when we did watch the video, remember the black one comes around it, and I kept like, I thought that was smaller. Yeah. That's why. You're right.
Yeah.
I just think a little bit more information about that to explain the differences and why that's there could have been helpful.
What my friend just said was basically that they wanted to do it this way in order to drive people to the website to then look up the stuff. So I guess it gets people into their website looking at what's going on, what's the new models, what's the new features. And if you really think about it, like at 5 o'clock, everybody that's even been close to seeing these bikes drop their already done edited YouTube videos going around the new 25s, because their local dealerships would get them and stuff. So
that is a good point, because we were talking about this beforehand that we were going to check it out today. I went hunting today looking for the information, and I went to the Harley website because in years past, it was always, hey, we're dropping this at this time, check it out. They didn't have that. It basically said 2025 model lineup dropping, click this link, and you had to put in your info before it would even let you get to like the next what was going on. And it didn't say whether they're going to drop it on the website or if they were going to drop it on YouTube. Maybe if I check my email, I may say like, hey, tune in to Harley's, YouTube at this time. But it was real like a lot more secretive. And I think that they did that to drive from a business aspect. I think they did that because it's a better way to track and get data on who's interested. And now you've created a mailing list, because if you're going to take the time to sign up, okay, well, that's a potential buyer. So what do we need to do to keep pushing stuff at them to get them interested? I think that was more a sales tactic than it was in years past, where it's let's have this presentation that then people can talk about and create buzz that way.
No, interesting. Yeah, that's actually a good point. It just drives people to go like look up and find out stuff. But, there's no shortage of media these days, right? So, no. Realistically, all they needed to do was what they did, and then let the rest of the world just jump in and fill the void, essentially, like we're doing right fucking now, essentially.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, just kind of jumping back to the Lowrider ST, they did the 117 high output, which apparently I think makes 11 more horsepower than the other one. But what was interesting is that it doesn't look like they water cooled it in the same way they did the newer Road Glide and Street Glide, right?
That's interesting.
So, I feel like it would be difficult to hide a radiator on a smaller bike like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's already got a big ass oil cooler.
Yeah, the oil cooler like already fills the whole front end of the bike.
I think when I saw the little sneak peek of like the Ultra lowers, so I think the Street Glide Ultra.
Yep.
Or just the Ultra Glide or whatever. I don't think it's called a Street Glide Ultra. No, had the lower fairing. I was like, oh shit, like some new bodywork.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I really wish there was like some kind of lower fairing for the ST. Something sporty, kind of like how the CVO and the Road Glides have. Something maybe, it could be a little more useful, like maybe like the old FXRT lowers kind of thing, something that fits the design. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have retrofitted ST or old FXR lowers to fit the ST and kind of give it some different shapes so it looks like it belongs more. But, sometimes having a good factory Harley thing that clicks on, it's made from a high ABS plastic that you can, it's easier to paint that than the fiberglass and not as heavy. Or even like coming out with some forged carbon parts for that from Harley, like the fender or the dash or, things like that would have been nice too. Just these like little things I feel like, they did a lot of great stuff with the Lowrider. I didn't see what the price was on it. For the ST, I'll probably go back and check that out
there were some things in there that was kind of interesting to me. Pricing on some of the stuff. I know things are going up. We were talking about it before it started, the Road King. I remember when the Road King, the MSRP on that used to be like $21,000. Now it's $25,000. It's got the same thing it's always had. It's still got a 114. Nothing has changed on that bike, and now the MSRP is $25,700.
So it's starting at $24,199. So
grand
for the ST.
Did it go up or down?
It went up. Well,
dude,
can y'all tell me why the Street Bob still has the sickest wheels?
Yeah, and it costs the MSRP $17,100.
Oof.
For a Street Bob.
That was a Lowrider S a few years ago.
Right?
Where is
times are changing, my boys.
It's called inflation. Yeah, right. Now what's interesting to me about the Road King, and I'm not trying to, be any other way than why did that not get a redesign? Why is it still carrying the same like bodywork? A Road King with a new like taking an approach with the Road King and making a headlight nacelle setup that has like the newer styling. So they didn't have the Road King last year, right? Is that what you're getting?
I don't remember them having a Road King last year.
They did?
Did
Okay.
they?
So I'm saying,
so they just have it. So they're just not changing it.
Road King Classic. I don't know if they did a special or not. They may have.
No, I don't know, but
I think they're only specials now. I don't think you. I think they took the name away, but all you can get it is in the special trim, black trim, extended bags.
It was chrome, and you had standard bags last year.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, my thing is like, if they were to kind of get rid of it for a year or two to usher in a new like redesign, that would be pretty dope. And I guess the thing with the pricing on some of these things is like, you know, the ST is right there with the Road Glides. Or like the Lowrider ST is pretty damn close in price to, you know, I guess the Road Glides actually went up too now, huh?
It's like $5,000.
Because weren't they 25 last year?
Yeah, I think MSRP was 25.
Now it's starting at basically 28.
Yeah, so those are kind of the things. The Road King, if you're going to raise the price, I understand that you've got levels of inflation. You have to cost to build it goes up, but man, that's a pretty big jump, and nothing has changed. You didn't even change the motor.
2017. Everything's the same.
Yeah,
on that bike.
You didn't go water cooled. Like, you didn't do anything new to it. It's the same thing. Maybe you might have a couple different colors. I haven't gone in there to really look, but like, I think it's all pretty much the same colors that have been there. Like, it just feels like it. The Road King, it feels like it's an abused friend right now. Like, you just gotta let it go, and let it, like you said, take a year off and let it redesign and come out with something fresh and new.
Yeah.
Like, I would imagine that those sales have to be going down.
The Road King was always like that in between the person that was on like a soft tail that wanted to step up to like a full, touring model, but didn't quite want the fairing and all that stuff, right? And then when you have like the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST coming into the market, you know, it kind of filled that void of the Road King because it's smaller. You still got, you know, the ability to throw the bags on either one of those things. And
yep.
I don't know. I guess the bigger question is, where does a Road King really fit into the whole lineup these days? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be the
Pull it up closer.
It's got to be the classic thing, you know?
Like keeping it around for the people.
It's the air-cooled bike. It's the...
But here's where I got to push back on that a little bit. You got a Heritage that does the same thing, and I bet you it costs the same amount of money. So you've got you basically you have a Lowrider S and you have an ST. The ST is about in line with the touring road glide and street glide, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The Lowrider S is how much cheaper than the ST?
Like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah. The Road King is not. The Road King is $25,000. So you're not saving any money, but it's basically like it's like the stripped down version of other touring bike.
Yeah.
The stripped down version of the ST is the Lowrider S. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a price jump.
It's almost like if they would have just, instead of a road, like if they would have bring back like what you have, like the Electric Glide Standard, where you have a no radio but a fairing model that just kind of gets rid of all the shit that a lot of people want to take out anyway.
Not doing that with the Road Glide was a huge miss.
Well, you got to, to play devil's advocate in that situation, you got to think about the fact that if they make a bike that kind of solves that problem, if you will, then you know what I mean? Like there's no reason anybody's going to buy the other bike. You know what I mean? The majority, let me say that, like, you have to be strategic of where you price models and what kind of models you come out with so that you don't phase out another more important model. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
To a point, but like, I mean, you look at F-150s, I get that's way different, but like XLTs, probably there's a billion of those on the road. There's a whole lot of Lariats out there, but that's a different market.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just say it from the bike aspect that like the Street Glide Standard was kind of like that not entry level, but a way for people to get on a touring model that has what makes a touring model great, but it removed like the radio, like basic stuff like rear pegs and things like that. No hill toe shifter.
That's why I got it, because I knew if I would have bought with a Street Glide, I didn't care about the stereo. I didn't care about the back pegs. I didn't care about all the other bells and whistles, because I was going to customize it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, all I want is this motor as the platform.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy a used Road Glide for more money. I'll just buy this new one. It's got the motor I want. I'm going to modify it anyway, so it's basically like a big lump of clay that I can customize a lot easier.
Yeah. So the biggest question is like if they went too hard and pulled out all the stops for the Lowrider ST, like put like a digital gauge in there and that had like navigation on it and all this stuff, like
cutting in the Road Glide cells.
Yeah, now you're cutting in the Road Glide cells. Like, why even consider that bike?
So my question is, with the pricing that they're doing on the ST, and as much as you see people buying them, I feel like that they feel like that's the competitor to the Road Glide right
100%.
now. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, you kind of got to watch your cost in that because you don't want to make it more expensive than the Road Glide. So you got to have a little bit of a difference there. But
it's interesting too, because I would really be interested in to why or what's like people are choosing the ST for. When I bought the ST, it's because I had been on Road Glides for years. And the thought of having a smaller bike that's more nimble, that's fast, but still able to tour on it was like that was appealing to me, right? But I want to say when I got mine, they were retailing for like, what was yours retailing for when you got yours?
I think it was like $21,900.
Yeah.
Was a black one.
So, I mean, to be fair, the ST, with all the new stuff, like the motor, I could kind of see that being a little bit more expensive and more worth it, right? But I don't know. I mean, you're literally talking about a $4,000 or $5,000 difference, but if you think about it from a Lowrider S to that, you're actually getting quite a bit for that. I mean, if you want to play that way, but if you want to talk about, okay, 4 years ago or 2 years ago, they were $21,000. You know what I mean? But
when it was like $2,000, maybe $2,500 to go from a Lowrider S to an ST. How are you going to do painted fairing and any kind of bags for cheaper?
Yeah, 100%.
maybe that was Harley saying, "Hell, we gave that away a little too cheap." Because yeah, you're right. The fairing and the bags alone, I don't know too many people that once the ST dropped were buying S's instead of STs.
Well, yeah, even the people that I know that were buying Lowrider S's and going like, yeah, I'm just going to do that with the Memphis Shades fairing, and I'm going to get the bags from Harley. I'm like, once you buy the bags from Harley, you're going to be spending the same money as the ST.
Yeah. Unless you like the look of like more of a T Sport. But that's
you could literally just buy that bike and sell the fairing and then fund half the other stuff you want to do to the bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know. That's just me.
Everyone I know that has an S bought it before the STs dropped.
Yeah. I do know a lot of people that did that. But I mean, I don't know. I think that it's all interesting. I guess the last couple of years we've been getting these like massive like media hype drops, but there's also been a lot of high like new models coming. Like last year it made sense for them to have such a huge drop because they upgraded the touring line to the newer models, right? When they came out with the Lowrider ST and at the same time as when they came out with the Road Glide ST, not the CVO, but the regular Road Glide.
Yeah.
So it's like a couple of years ago that there was a bigger drop because there was a new model coming out. You know what I mean?
So the other thing with those previous years when they would do these big drops, they incorporated the motorcycles, the culture, the clothing, and they kind of did it all as one package, right?
Yeah.
Nothing about any of the clothing designs, collections.
Do you think that,
none of it?
Well, I mean, okay, so
parts,
the last
collections, and
couple of
clothing,
years,
nothing.
The drops have been like coincided with like, like the influencers, like social media YouTubers, GQ, Two Lane Life, Thrashing, Cycle Fanatics. All these guys are a part of the drops. But I mean, do you do that every year and that's just the MO, or do you kind of like, always kind of come out with a new angle? You know what I mean?
And I remember, and you're right. They did that even going back when they first dropped like the newer Softails.
Yeah.
They had a lot of celebrities, influencers.
Yeah, it was more the celebrities
involved.
And that dropped in.
No, you're right. Yeah. But it was still a bigger presentation. This seems like it was not an afterthought.
But it was also like their new models.
Yeah, that's true.
So it makes sense to put extra advertising.
So do you think it's just because even when they weren't doing new models, like when they did the anniversary bikes and when they did like the icons and the enthusiast collections, like.
Yeah, but those are typically coming out mid-year.
Yeah.
Or like in a different quarter, not necessarily the first of the year. So I feel like.
So you expecting maybe this year they're going to have a bigger mid-year drop?
I feel like they should. I mean, they need to lean into that because that's kind of been something that's kind of kept the stoke high. And those, I mean, joke about it all you want. Like those two paint jobs that came on the STs, everybody wanted them. What was it? The whiskey or not the tobacco fade?
Yep.
That's a dope ass paint job. The El Diablo. Those are cool ideas that I think that it keeps it keeps the ball rolling a little bit.
Sure.
And even like the enthusiast collection, I mean, they haven't really dropped one of those in it seems like a year or two. Or
yeah, I think Fast Johnnies were the last ones they did.
And that bike was cool. You know what I'm saying?
Other
where
I think they did drop one up. They dropped that Heritage right around the time that the Easy Rider, Bike Riders movie came out. Easy Rider.
I don't even remember that.
It's the one that was like red and white. They did like a special.
That was the Elvis one?
Yeah.
Or was that like the blue? I don't know. I mean, I'm not super interested in new bikes that are made to look old.
No, I get you. But I watch that stuff because I'm interested in seeing the trends and what the Motor Co. company is doing and how the enthusiast motorcycle rider and aftermarket world is influencing them.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and ugly, because it says a lot of where their ear and where their pulse is at. So I'm interested in that. I like seeing that they're leaning in even more. I mean, we've said over the last couple of years, they're leaning in even more to the younger generation. You can tell even with the Flames, man, that the Ghost Flames black on black, that is our generation thing. The squared graphics, that is a us generation thing. They're doing it on the ST, on the CVO ST. They did them on the regular. I have to look at
the regular Road Glide.
Yeah, they did them on the regular Road Glide and the regular STs, or the regular Street Glides.
I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, there used to be a book that would have all their collections in it. And you can go order paint jobs for your bike. Like you can be
in the 90s, you used to be able to do that.
I mean, you can do it in the 2000s. I mean, I cut my teeth on a lot of that era because we used to do a lot of repair work for the dealerships around here, and they would have these 1 of 500 or 1 of 1,000 paint jobs. And, if you had to repair one, they'd be, there was a lot of really custom shit. Unfortunately, it was on mainly Softails and some of the Dynas and stuff back in the mid 2000s. So that's why I'm wondering if they're going to get to the point where, like, if you do have, say, a Road Glide, like a 24 Road Glide, could you, if you wanted to go get one of these new, is it in a book in a way, or are you like individually buying each piece? You know what I mean? Like, I need a fairing and then part number this, or can you go buy the kit or the collection or the whole set, the paint set, if you will?
Yeah.
Through like their, custom book, whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because like the El Diablos, same thing, because that factory custom. If you need a part, you can't go into the dealership and buy that. You have to have a VIN number to order that. Are they going to do the similar thing where?
Well, I mean, that's
someone
what I'm saying.
later
Not
upgrade?
even have a VIN number. If you have a 24 Road Glide and they come out with these new paint jobs, the bike's the same.
That's what I'm saying. Can you go in and order the part number with that paint job, or is it like the El Diablo where it's exclusive? You have to buy that model with that paint.
I don't think it'll be like that. I'm just saying, would you put it out there like if you want to get the new, let's just heavy rolling paint job, right? Just give a name to it. That you can go and open this book at a dealership and go, yeah, I want to order this thing. It's like $4,000 or $5,000, whatever it is. I mean, on a bagger, like it's going to be high.
Absolutely.
Probably even higher than that, to be honest with you. But essentially, you're getting a whole new set of tins.
Hey, man, it's probably going to be really high because I just had to get a gas tank and a saddlebag and a fairing, so I know how much that costs.
Oh, man, it sucks. I have a gas tank here.
Oh, no, I have a gas tank, but...
I mean, you said to get one. Though.
I know how much one costs. I didn't say I had to buy. I actually bought one.
I don't have one. Then.
Right?
Actually, it's right there.
So,
I almost have that whole paint set.
Dude, I've talked to you about that. I've got
the rear fender, the bags, the side covers.
I was saying, did you say you're missing one thing?
Fender.
The fairing.
I just don't have the fairing. Yeah.
Dude, someone needs to buy a Road King, and you can sell them a paint job.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I was kind of telling you I was like kind of interested in getting a lowrider ST again. Now that when I had the ST, I also had the Road Glide, so it was kind of like
excuse me, pinky up CVO. You got a CVO.
No, I had that at the end, but I had a 131.
I remember
that Road Glide was a little bit different. So the ST was fun to ride. I took it on trips, but it's like. While you're when you have another model like that, you're like, well, this one would be better doing this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But now being on the FXR for the last year and literally having no idea what it's like to have a fairing or or really cushy suspension and things like that, the ST would be as good as having a Road Glide to me right now. So I do like the new stuff. I don't know. I'll probably wait till like the beginning of next year and get some used stuff or whatever, just to try to get the price down on them. You know what I mean? I don't think I can swing $25,000 on a motorcycle right now.
You're trying to buy. I'm looking for them STs with them gold wheels.
Yeah. I got like 15 on it. What you want to do?
Right. Let someone try to.
Well, those fucking inmates, man, they last as long as you don't get retarded with it. They'll last, man. You'll get a lot of miles out of them. You can enjoy it. They really don't take much effort to keep on the road. I mean, they don't take any effort to keep on the road. But like, what I'm getting at is, waking up on a Wednesday and be like, you know what? I think I want to go out to Arizona Bike Week this next weekend.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what do I need to get on the bike? I should probably just do an oil change. That's all I get. Like, not even having to think about it.
Yeah.
And just bam, I'm going. Like, the FXR is like, well, how many miles do I have on that chain? I probably need to change the chain out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more maintenance involved.
So it's funny because, like, I get it. It's this balance with these performance guys because you want to make more horsepower. You want to have the cool guy stuff. But I feel like a lot of guys actually make their life a lot harder than they need to. It's like, dude, my Electric Glide Standard has a 107. I've done the things I want. It makes plenty of power. I can do everything with all the homies I want to do, and I don't have any problems.
Yeah. There's always somebody faster. There's always a Dwayne out there, right?
Yes.
So it's like, why, I get it. Like, if you're building a bike and you want to have some like insane power, that's cool. I mean, Dwayne's proven like you can really get out on the road and do these things. But Dwayne will tell you the same thing. Like, every once in a while, you're going to have to rebuild that motor.
Yeah.
You can't boost the hell out of it and travel the world like there's no problems.
He literally said that about the Road Glide. He was like, you got to understand, 30,000 miles on a turbo motor, it's like dog years. Like, like that's a lifespan, 30,000 miles on a turbo motor, especially the way that he rides. Like, yeah, it's rough. It's rough on the bike. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
I would rather just, like I said, I had a cam that I had a whole setup from Fuel Moto. They gave me like what they've already done the research. Like, if you do this fuel injector, this throttle body, this intake manifold, because I think the intake manifolds were plastic on those years, which is not desirable. A Woods cam and then tuned Thundermax, like they were showing me their power. They were getting close to 130 horsepower out of that motor, right? I never dyno tuned it, so I don't know. I just put the Thundermax on it and had fun, right? But I enjoyed having that power at, when I needed it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like it was just a cam and yeah, a couple other upgrades, but I wasn't losing gas mileage. I wasn't like worried that, I'm running such a 132 and all this stuff and it's going to be overheating going through the desert. Like, I just kept it to where I can do what I want to do on it and not have to worry about it.
I feel like the M8 platform for Harley was such a home run in the fact that you do an exhaust and intake and you do a decent, doesn't have to be super crazy cam, Star 3030, S&S 475. I don't know what the Woods equivalent is, but across the board,
22 XE or something like that.
Yeah, you do one of those cams, you're going to be sitting just over 100 horsepower, probably close to 110 feet-pound of torque, and that's fine for most people.
But check it out. To get 100 horsepower out of a twin cam back in the day, you had to do all those things you just mentioned and usually a big bore kit.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
for a 103 would have to go to a 107 or a 110.
Yep. You got to do
with the cam, with the computer, with all this other shit as well to get over, like, to get 104. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and that's what I mean. Like, the power on demand is so much easier with them, and it's reliable because you're not having to do all that. Because anytime you start upping your size, your bigger bores, tolerances get a lot tighter. You know what I mean? And when you do that, that's where you run into problems because things are gonna break down over time. And the fact that you can get that so easily and that's enjoyable horsepower. You can, of course you can make more. You can do bigger motors if you want, and that's great. I'm not knocking anyone that does it. It's just
I was always have been a proponent of the 131 or whatever it is now, 134 4 or 5 or 2, whatever. I don't know what the
I think they still have
crate
I
motor
think they
is.
still have like a 132 and then like a 135 or something.
But
I don't
when
know.
that motor came out, everybody and their mom had like, oh, the walls are thin on the cylinders, they're gonna blow up, and it's like, I'm like, man, it has a 1-year warranty, dude. Like, I'm gonna jump on this motor, ride the piss out of it, and I did, and had 0 issues. Two different motors, 2 different bikes, not the same bike. Dude, I felt like for the money that motor costed and what you got out of it, if you wanted to play the bigger horsepower game, not a bad deal.
No.
You know what I mean? Really not a bad deal. And I had a whole nother motor that I'm like, hey, it's for sale.
You know what's funny
You
is
did
like
the crate, right?
Yeah.
it's super easy for people to like always want to pick apart these little things. The dealership is not going to put out a motor that's not, pretty confident because there is a warranty with it. I think the only motor that Harley's ever made that kind of I think is universally trash is the 120R.
Yeah.
But it's a race motor. That's what it's designed for. Yeah. Don't try to street that motor. Other than that, everything else is, fairly tried and true. Like they put some research. They've got some R&D dollars into making sure that the motor's going to be okay.
Yeah, I've had no issues with it. But I mean, like I said, like the same thing with, what's this new high output? Has anybody really like started diving into these newer motors yet and putting cams or a cam in it and pumping them up? I haven't really, and of course I haven't been looking for this information, so my ignorance.
On the water cooled 117 like that came in the base last year.
Yeah.
Dropping cam and tune, these guys are making like 145 and stuff. Where
Serious? Damn.
Like a 117 is 125 with the same mods. It's pretty wild what the new heads did.
Dang.
So I know that Thundermax has been working on like a whole tuner setup for it. I don't know. I think they finally dropped that.
It's done, yeah.
And then I know that I don't think there was anything wrong with the cam, but I know that Brent ran a cam in his ST, and I think I don't know if they dyno tuned it, but I know that I think they have now. I just don't know what the numbers are, but yeah, they make.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, when you can keep the heads cool, you can do rad shit.
Do more stuff, yeah.
Brett's got that 135 now.
Yeah.
He's not just cam no more.
Oh yeah, no.
I wonder what that's getting on that motor. 135 and that new and his ST water.
I mean, like
Road Glide ST.
160. Like I would think 160 is easy at that point.
Do you really want 160 horsepower on a 700-pound motorcycle, 800-pound motorcycle? It just seems like a lot. I mean, that's probably the gayest thing I've ever said, but
dude, I can't say anything. You got Dwayne with his bike, and then his buddy Breezy just did his bike. He did that SNS 136 crate motor with a turbo to make over 200 horsepower. That's disgusting, dude.
Yeah, that's a little much. Like mine with a drop-in cam in it, like it felt a lot faster at first, and then you get used to
That's
it.
That's rowdy,
like,
bro.
I think what we need to be saying
20 more, right?
What we need to be saying right now is, look, we can't afford it, so
right.
we're just hating on it.
No. No. I'm with it.
That shit's stupid. Who would do that?
No. I'm definitely not saying it's stupid, but it's just like, whoa, like, yeah, that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
I wish I had some FU money and I could do it.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know, man. I'm just, I guess like I have my heart set on this Shovelhead downstairs, right? So that's kind of like the thing that I want to experience next.
The idea of 100 horsepower is off the table for Jace.
That's way too much. I want 45.
Jace is just trying to make 80 horsepower.
I'm just trying to make that motor like very reliably strong, and when I ride it across the desert into Mexico, it'll start for me. That's all I care about.
Right. Starting and with a chopper tank on it. I'm just trying to make that 100 miles. That's all I'm trying. Not fuck 100 horsepower, 100 miles.
Yeah.
Is where I'm at with life.
We're at the 100-mile club. No, that's kind of where I'm at with that, but the FXR, it's a twin cam. It runs. It feels good. It kind of gives me enough of the modern feeling of a motor, but yeah, probably later this winter after Sturgis is when I'm going to start looking at getting another modern bike and going down the rabbit hole. Part of me wants a Road Glide, but then part of me is like,
well, you and me have talked about this. Like, you're like, man, I kind of want a bagger again, but then you start it never fails. Anytime you think about getting a bagger, Jacob just needs to bring his ST around, and then you just stare at it for a while, and then he's like, oh, I need me another ST.
Man, I don't know. I like both bikes. I guess it'd just be based on like, how, like what what's the resale value? Like, what's a 24 going to go for, at the end of the year? Are they going to be a little cheaper?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to find those, get one of those guys that bought one and then put 300 miles on it and then it sat in the garage for a year and I can get it for, $5,000 less than it was retail?
I feel like Jace is on the search for the guy with the road glide that just happened to, run his bike through some bushes and got it all scratched up. So the paint.
Nah, I don't want that.
He wants the cheap.
My last Road Glide, the one that, not the CVO, but the Road Glide, the 2021 that I did, that, whatever. That was a bike that was bought and traded in with 200 miles on it.
Wow. That
I got for roughly $22,000 in 21. So it's like.
That was a $32,000 bike.
I would say $32,000, but it was definitely would have been something at the time because
I was gonna say at that time frame that was probably closer to a $30,000 bike.
Yeah, that was what was kicking my ass because when I sold Bruce my other Road Glide, was right in that time that there wasn't a lot of models on the floor, but fortunately knowing Tommy, he was on the lookout for me and was able to kind of pass some savings on to me. But all the bikes that were local, like on Marketplace and whatnot. They wanted like $30,000. Everybody's trying to cash out because they were, there wasn't a lot of new models on the floors,
So it's funny. That was kind of in a similar thing in 2020. Like we bought my electric glide. I think it was the very end of June. So like things are locked down. Sales had kind of slowed down, but what happened was production had slowed down. So I wanted to buy a bagger because I had the Dyna, but I wanted a bagger and I wanted a Road Glide. Well, the problem is all the new ones, they didn't have any in New Mexico where I was at. They didn't have any that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And all the used stuff was way overinflated because everyone was just trying to, they were hoarding what they had because they could get top dollar for it because you couldn't get new ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So I remember I was like looking at a used one. It had meat hooks and all the shit that I didn't want. And it was like, I think 27, it was used. I think it had like 25,000. I was like, fuck that. I'm not buying that bike. And I was like, I remember being on the phone. I was like, nah, man, I'll just buy this new Electric Glide Standard because those were not selling.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, we'll work you a killer deal.
Yeah. So I bought the bike from Tommy and I flew up there and I had him put an exhaust on it for me there. And, man, I rode that thing from Milwaukee back here to Dallas with the factory buckhorn things that they sell. Man, I had like cramps in my wrist from doing that because I rode right into bike night because I flew out there on a Monday. I stayed at Forever at Kyle's place the night before. That's actually when I shot his bike for his Indian for the Torque magazine back in the day. I shot his bike and then rode in, because where he lives is like good halfway spot from Milwaukee to Dallas. Mm-hmm. And then just rode right into bike night and fucking, Bob's your uncle.
Right.
But yeah, the whole way, it's like, God damn, dude, like I'm just like this and I don't know. I miss it.
Now that you bring that up, that just reminds me. I feel like somebody at Harley in the design for the paint this year ran across a old Torque magazine and was like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Maybe. Like I said, there's got to be a place that design kind of was inspired by, and typically it's not like I've said many times, like, creative minds get their inspiration from a lot of different areas in the world. It's not always like another motorcycle. It could be, it could be the way graphic design is, trends in that or whatever, So it'd be interesting to know where that idea was derived from. Not that I don't even know if they would divulge that information, but
I mean,
that might be a trademark thing after that. You know what I mean?
That would actually be a really interesting, especially as somebody who is an artist. I think that'd be interesting if you could have a way to do that, to sit down with somebody from the design team or like a lead on the design team.
Yeah, well, what really pushed the flames? Like, is it like what I just said? All right, we don't know what to do this year. Roll out the flames.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just
case of emergency, break open glass, put some flames on it.
Yeah. I always, when I say put some flames on, I always think of remember that old song, that rap song, like, just bought a Cadillac.
Throw some D's on it. As soon as you started to talk, I was like, yeah, that's what he's talking about.
But no, that's what I wonder if that might be the case. Maybe it's like, because they had flames on it a couple years ago. Remember that Fade one they did? It was like a a negative flame with the fade behind it that was pretty cool. You know,
they had that, and then I remember a couple years previous to that when they did like the hard candy paint jobs with the flames that like use the hard candy to create the flame out of the negative space.
Talking about. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I would ask a lot of that. I would ask the question about like the Road King. Like, why not start thinking about like a new design for that? Why not throw something in there? Didn't we say that they did change the ultras and stuff now, so they don't have the old fairing anymore? Is that across the board? Like Road Glide is or ultra.
So one thing I'd kind of seen rumbling the rumors before the lead up to the thing is, and I'd seen a little bit of leaked pictures on the internet.
So the Road Glide 3, which is the trike, still has the older fairing, and so does the Tri-Glide Ultra has the old fairing.
They make they have a new tour pack also. They made the Ultra has a lower fairing, and then they've got the new tour pack. So like, man, I feel like even though that doesn't necessarily interest me, I still enjoy those videos where they talk about that stuff.
Tour pack looks the same to me, dude. It's got the same latch.
The Street Glide Ultra that's here, it's the same tour pack. It's got the new fairing and the new lowers.
Man, I see now. Now you guys are gonna have to make me internet sleuth.
I mean, the Ultra does look pretty sick, though. I mean,
with the two-tone-ish paint job.
No, just like that lower fairing, I think is dope. I really do like the lower fairing on that.
See, now you guys are gonna make me go back to the internet.
But yeah, I don't know.
Pause here.
Huh? But no, I like the new Ultra. I think it's dope. You know, I can't deny. You can't deny the new Street Glider. Just that new fairing is actually really badass. You know what I mean? I'm more partial to liking that more than I like the Road Glide. But I'm just a Road Glide person. I've always been, always will be.
No, yeah.
That's how Dad did it. That's how his dad did it. You know what I mean? But no, that fairing does look good. I wonder when they'll come out with like whatever the Road Glide version of the Ultra is. But
I do like the camo paint on the new CVO Pan America. The like paneled camo, urban camo.
Yeah. I like the one they did last year where it had like the topography lines that I like to do in a lot of my paint jobs. I thought that was pretty cool. So the CVO Pan America, that's pretty much like, it's just all the bells and whistles, right?
Yeah, so it's got like all the luggage and everything.
I'll take one of those.
Right?
It's a $10,000 price jump.
Yeah, I did
from the standard or the ST.
I wonder if there's I wonder if like the aftermarket is starting to pick up in the Pan America market. Like as far as, you know, aftermarket bags from other brands, like, you know, making their own version of bags that would fit on the Pan Americas or brackets that would, you know, get their own.
They do, but they're, well, at least the ones I know of. My uncle has one and he put some bags on it. They're all that kind of like adventure bike style.
Yeah.
So they all kind of look the same almost.
Yeah, I remember when they did that guy or somebody, I don't know who that guy was, but like somebody put like a Road Glide fairing and bags on a Pan America and like did it all real professional looking. It was actually pretty sick. You remember that? I think they used, I don't think they used the normal saddlebags. I think they used something else, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't remember, but they made it all fit and
it looked
really
good.
nice.
Yeah.
Man, you guys got me super sleuthing now. I don't think that tour pack is the same. It's subtle. It's a subtle difference. If you look at the bottom, see how it curves in to match the bag.
It's possible. I'd have to see it in person.
It's super like it.
Because they've always cut in because you need that to open the
Right.
bags. But usually they would either cut in real not like a hard line like the bags are.
Yeah.
But they would dip in, and you would have like the light
Talking
rail.
about that little chrome thing.
No, I did see the chrome trim too.
But it looks like it's an angle instead of
it
like
looks
an
like
actual,
it's more curved to kind of mimic the saddlebag.
So it
shape.
might be. I mean, they might have just redid a lower part of the bag. That
Yeah.
way,
Make it fit better.
yeah,
or whatever.
and then like kept the top the same and the lash the same.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think they like completely redesigned it. I think it's just a little different to kind of match a little better because, I mean, I guess the way to know is have Cody B pull his with his tour pack next to to a new one and see if they look the same.
Fuck, I hate painting tour packs, dude. It's like every time a bagger comes around, they want to do a paint job. I'm like, hell yeah, it's gonna be sick. And they're like, I also want a tour pack just for my wife when she wants to ride. I'm like, fuck.
What's so bad about the tour pack? I would think that would be like the just big flat piece.
They're huge, man. Like the paint surface on them is so much surface.
I don't know if you know this, Connor. He hates sanding. He likes designing. He doesn't like sanding, and that's a lot of fucking sanding.
Dude, if you took all the sides of a tour pack, like a normal King tour pack or whatever, and just flattened it out, and then took the lid and flattened it out, it's this table. You know, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a bike. Why does it cost as much as a car?" It's because it's using the same amount of paint, dude.
Yeah, and for every bit of paint means every bit of sanding.
The biggest difference between the newer models, I haven't painted a Street Glide newer model yet, but like the Road Glides, is the fairing is huge. The inner fairing is huge. The bags are bigger. Like there's just a lot more surface to paint on these things than the previous year, and it's just really hard to like, if there's more surface, that means there's more materials. And guess what? Every January, everything, the whole paint world, there's a 5% increase on every fucking product. So it's like, it never goes down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no paint rebate in January that's going to throw your way.
Exactly. Trump didn't executive order anything into the automotive industry for paint, which that stuff's all made here, which is wild. You know what I mean? The paint that I typically use is actually made in fucking Garland down the street. But, because the House of Color factory is there.
Yeah.
It's wild. It didn't have a big sign on the door or anything like that,
right.
But it's here. But no, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how media takes over this launch and you see more people doing stuff on the STs. People are gonna go to the dealership. All the motor vloggers are gonna jump on the bikes and do their around the block review and stuff like that, which is dope. It'll give people all the information.
I just wonder how much of that. I mean, I think they're going to do that just because they want to make content, not because just because I don't think there's that many model changes. So there's shouldn't be that many like real big significant changes. But showing off the paint's cool.
Yeah, I mean, literally what we're doing right now is we're capitalizing on this information coming out, doing a podcast about it. You know what I mean? So it makes sense for anybody to have a channel to go and make some kind of video on it.
Right?
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I need to be super excited right now from that. I'm not saying that I'm not excited. I'm not buying a bike right now, so it doesn't really apply to me. But at the same time, like, you get like a general stoke that comes into the atmosphere of motorcycling when products or bikes or something happens. There's something new coming out. So I would say that the new ST Lowrider is interesting. But for me, like a bunch of new paint jobs on a bike doesn't necessarily.
I don't think I got to see enough of it to like form much of an opinion. I mean, this kind of reminds me of what's going on next week, and I feel like this was like a small lap dance. It didn't give me all my fulfillment that I'm looking for in life. It was just a tease, just a little.
So you're gonna get the lap dance in the full Nelson next weekend? Is that what you're saying?
Allegedly. Rookie. I don't know if you know this guy. He doesn't podcast
Hey,
much.
Taylor from Shifter Crew. What's up, bud?
What's up, Chase from the Fast Life Garage?
So I'm on a live podcast on YouTube right now, and you really just screwed the pooch with me, bud. I'm just playing.
No, I figured, dude. I was just trying to save you. I know how awkward you get on live. Hey, do you think hit me up later?
All right, bud. Talk to you later. Yeah.
Hey, man. I'm just saying that this was a tease. This was definitely a tease.
Well, the Indian drop is tomorrow.
I don't know what you're doing here, bud.
Hey, we'll see. Maybe it's more interesting.
Might be.
Maybe Carrie Hart's riding up one. Is he the only one that ever rides them and does it?
I don't know. I've never watched an Indian drop, so I don't know.
Hey, well, I'm trying to diversify my portfolio, dog. So I'm gonna watch and just see what it does.
Okay.
Doing another live tomorrow.
Not quite big enough for that yet.
Right.
But no, I don't know. See how it goes. Apparently, they got some new stuff dropping.
Say
some new
Jason's
motors.
about to be a big Indian guy. I'm just kidding. Hey, man. I'd be interested. That is interesting that they're doing the drop the next day. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's probably like most brands. I mean, I don't know. I never really got into this with anybody like actually at like any kind of corporate level of like talking to like Harley or anybody. But I wonder why they changed from doing the motorcycle drops in late August to now the beginning of the year. Because remember, like all the new car models will be out at the end.
They come out in the like late summer so that everyone gets hyped, and then they start selling them kind of like right at the end of the year, rolling into the new year. Now we're already in towards the mid to end of January. Now you're going to roll out new models for 2025.
Yeah, I wonder what what is the purpose behind that.
It feels like you're late to the party at that point. Like you should have 2025 models on the floor January 1, 2025.
Yeah, but at the same time, there has to be something to do. I'm conspiracy theorying right now, but like, when we were a kid, there was no such thing as a Black Friday, right? That was the thing that, I feel like Tickle Me Elmo brought that into existence, that whole time of just like, because it was like right around the time when that fucking toy came out and everybody was like waiting in lines to get the toy and then the
Beanie
Black
Babies
Friday
and all that stuff. Yeah.
But so a lot of companies that are in those kind of spaces, like they bank on that fourth quarter to really level them out for the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder if there's anything to do with that. Not that like any automotive places are doing Black Friday sales for their vehicles, like, and stuff like that. But what I'm getting at is, I wonder if it's something to kind of like realign like their earnings for quarters and things like that. Because if you think about it, like now it's like it's already hard enough for most people that work in dealerships in December as it is. Even if you live south, nobody's really buying bikes in December. And now that the new bikes are coming out in January, people are going to wait to see what the new bike is or the new options are. So at least when they came out in fucking, what do you call it? August, you had, by the time winter's coming around, all the dealerships are full. So if you want the new bike, the new stuff is out if you want it. So it kind of, in my opinion, would keep maybe a better flow of bikes being bought through the winter.
So, and I see where you're coming from on that. I think the opposite. I think what it is because motorcycles for most people is a luxury toy item, right? Mm-hmm. In the wintertime when you're not using it, it's harder for you to justify why I'm going to go sign and have this payment every month. So what I'm thinking is maybe because if you do a January drop, you're rolling it out at the end of January, right? So that now you have February that all of them are going to start hitting the dealerships. If you can get a buzz started now and you saw one you like, you're going into your dealership. You might be able to put an order in. It's coming out. You're going to have it. And guess what? Next thing you know, as soon as you're picking that up and you're signing on the dotted line, baby, we're rolling to Daytona.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like when the ST came out, the lowrider, dudes were, people weren't taking possession of STs till like late March, early April. I didn't
get mine till.
Did you order it at the beginning, like when it came out, or what?
Yeah, and I didn't get it till very end of June.
Yeah. So I was the second person to ever custom paint a lowrider ST. The first one was a San Diego Customs and Hot Dog.
Yep.
Painted.
That's probably just because they got it quicker than you.
Yeah, and because I remember their paint job dropped on a Friday and mine dropped like on the next Wednesday or Thursday, and it was because Chance was able to get his lowrider ST like really quick because he actually got it. I think he rode it from Tobacco Road Harley Davidson to the camp out and then to my house to drop it off to paint it because we were going on our trip to the Pacific Northwest, and so we had it painted for that trip. And he had put 10,000 miles on that bike in 1 month.
Jesus! Like
he rode with us doing the whole Pacific Northwest trip. We ended up being like 5,000+ miles round trip. And then when he got home, still had time off of work. Was like, fuck it, I'm riding back for Born Free, and rode all the way to Born Free. Rode around with us there, and then came back. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So he like did it all. It wasn't quite 10,000, but it was almost 10,000 miles. It's like 75, almost 8,000 miles.
That's still
in a month, you know?
Yeah.
So pretty cool. And then he sold it right afterwards. I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Hey, cashed out.
Then
he goes full circle and he gets another ST and has you paint it.
Well, he did a
lowrider ST.
Yeah. He wanted something without the fairing, and then he did the Memphis Shades fairing. So that was cool, but I don't know. What else we got? You got
Polar Ride.
Polar Ride is next weekend, and for all you alcoholics.
I don't even drink, dude.
I quit drinking, man. I'm on herbal teas and crystals now.
Did you drop a Trojan in there earlier?
Yeah.
Magnum. Man, you know what? I got to say, the Polar Ride is probably one of my favorite things to do all year.
Yeah.
Just because it's a whole bunch of the homies. It's going to be cold. The ride's going to suck. It's not going to be a fun ride, not because of the cold, but because riding on the interstate to Shreveport is not fun. It's straight. There's nothing going on. But it's going to be pure shenanigans, and we're going to get there, and we're going to hang out with everyone, and we're going to talk shit the whole time beforehand, and then we're going to do...
Yeah, y'all are going hard right now on the memes,
Oh, dude.
on the internet.
Yeah.
As everybody keeps... Just quit tagging me, and I'm not going.
No, that you say that, all you're going to do is make me tag you more in all the shit about how you're lame for not going.
Dude, I'm trying not to drink right now. I'm trying to be sober. So the last thing I need to do is go to Shreveport, where even the people that are sober drink.
Right?
No, I need to work so fucking bad. Like just people, not people.
What I want to know.
I need to work.
I get it. Yeah. I'm just giving you shit. I did think it was funny that today you posted like that you were open for helmets. And that went for all of like 30 seconds. I saw that, and I'm not gonna lie. I took a screenshot because I was like, okay, I'm gonna crop this. I'm gonna repost it because I try to support my friends and what they do. I was gonna repost it, and by the time I was going to lunch to repost it, there's fucking Jace already saying, "Thanks, already full." I was like, oh, well, didn't need no help.
So about 2 years ago, I got really backed up because I have a lot of regulars, and then I want to also open it up to have friends and new customers coming in. So I got to a point where I had like 20 helmets on order, right? And on a good month, I can do 2 helmets a month, and that's not because I'm putting so much time, and it's not that. It's just that I have so many things I do.
Yeah, you got your hands in a lot of things.
So trying to produce 2 helmets a month means that I can do about 24 helmets a year. So, and I try to stay booked out 6 months in advance so that I know for a fact that I have money in the shop to pay my bills and to live my life, right?
Sure.
The last thing I want to do is make a decision to go to Born Free in June, and then I only have work in here that's going to provide my livelihood until March. You know what I'm saying? So, and then that's also the thing with the helmet. It's like, the way we do it, you're buying a helmet from us for now, at least. Eventually it'll probably open up to doing other things. But for now, you're buying the helmet from us. So you're not sending me the only helmet you have, and you're just sitting there waiting and stuff. It's like, no, it's a line. I'm busting ass. I'm getting each one done and giving each one the time and energy and thought that needs to go into each design. And then, I try to keep a couple of extra helmets here for myself so that when, right now I have 2 helmets. I'm thinking about just doing whatever I want on it and putting it out there for sale. That way it's like you're not waiting, but it's, you know what I mean? Like it's something, right? Sometimes the hardest part, the time consuming part is like once you start designing a helmet, like getting everything approved with the customer. Sometimes that could be a process.
Sure.
And when you're doing it for yourself, sometimes it's like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you have something that you're feeling that's a vibe, and you're like, I want to do this. I want to get this shit out and do it.
Yeah.
And when you don't have to worry about, well, is this what they want? If they're paying they're paying this money for this, you can just be creative, and then someone that appreciates it will go, I want that.
Yeah, and I mean this year, to be completely honest with you, like. If the economy and the motorcycle economy would have stayed where it was in 22, I probably would have been able to get out of this the way I had alluded that I was planning on it. But when, like a lot of things went down last year and I just couldn't afford to stop painting. And then, of course, when I was on that trip all summer, I got kind of reinvigorated to want to paint. And so that's kind of like I'm on that process now of getting back in the groove. And so that's why I don't want to take any big trips or do anything too time consuming because I don't want to get out of that groove. Sure. You know what I mean? And even going to Shreveport right now would take me out of that groove because let's say we're, let's just say I'm going to do the Saturday thing and leave with you guys. Well, I'm going to stop myself at some point that week and not start on a project because I won't be able to get it done by the time it's going.
Yeah,
so I might have 2 or 3 days that are like.
You've told me with your painting that you can't stop mid process. You've got to like see it all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, you can sometimes get it to a point and then stop, but to me, it's like I'd rather, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to be mentally ready to get it to that point.
Yeah.
Knowing that I only have 1 day to get it to that point, and then it has to be, clear coded or like locked down in a way before I can run off. But, essentially I am kind of trying to cut back on drinking I'm not trying to go sober. I'm just trying to I want to do 3 weeks without drinking, which I've honestly never done since I started drinking. So right now, 3 weeks will put me to the week after Polar Ride. No, to a week and a half after Polar Ride. So I think because Tuesday night I went hard.
I say
that was
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I love how he said that. He's like, I was doing the math. I was like, wait a second.
I'm adding a week already.
I was like, did you forget 2 days ago already?
Hey man, remember, it's 1 day at a time. You can't.
Yeah. Well, I want to, I want to get. What I'm really looking for is, I want to see if there's some kind of clarity that comes from it, because there is a point where it's kind of like a lot more work to get motivated to start doing things in the shop here and there. And I don't know if that's a drinking thing. I don't know if it's just I'm getting older. I don't know what it is, but I miss kind of having like a very, even we have the whole Chopper series YouTube thing. We already filmed it all. And this entire week, all I've been planning on doing is going home after work and starting to edit that video. And I get home and I look at the computer and I go, nope, I don't feel like it. I don't know what it is that is making me not want to tackle certain things. And so if it is alcohol, then, maybe after 3 weeks, I'll be like, you know what? I'm like, maybe it's not even, maybe I need to do 90 days. I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things on YouTube or whatever, but I don't know. Just see. But the problem is I'm not prepared to say I'd never drink, but I don't know.
No, there's nothing wrong. If you don't want to drink, that's cool. If you're wanting to scale back, I don't blame you. Yeah. In all actuality, so that's kind of how I ended up stopping drinking anyways, because I used to drink a lot and party a lot, and what would end up happening was I would spend a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, I realized how much money I was spending, because I turn into I'm like Oprah, man. You get a shot, you get a shot, you get a shot. I mean, you've seen it, dude. I get it. I don't drink often, but when I do, I go hard in the paint.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like the Polar Ride. I get to basically just have fun with my friends. Mm-hmm. I'm going to act like an idiot. What I'm even more excited, I feel like the hype leading up to the Polar Ride makes it even more fun. That's why I post all the memes. And it actually, at first, I kind of wonder, I'm like, man, I hope I'm not overwhelming and bombarding people too much. And then I'll get a message from somebody like Marcus Stays I'm here for it. I love it. I love the memes. And, Wheelo, he's like, bro, I love this. I love that someone else does it and it ain't just me. Because the shit talking and the little shit, I feel like it helps open the door for people that are, if it's your first time coming, if I find out that you're coming, I'm going to tag you. I'm going to talk shit to you too. And you can talk shit back.
It's a vibe check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're new and you may know a couple of people going and you don't know everyone, and there's people that you see within this community that maybe, I don't even like the word more recognizable, but if you've been bullshitting back and forth, it's easier to walk up to them and say, hey man, that shit you posted was funny. Yeah. Well, now you've got that icebreaker, so you don't feel so awkward. Hey, are you the internet guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's also good to carry it in a way so that people understand that this is all fun. Yeah. It's I think bikers, I think a lot of things, we joke hard and we can take things very seriously when it's time. Sure. But for the most part, for the majority of the time, we're just all having fun, and it's all lighthearted. It's all about, not taking yourself so seriously.
100%. That's why I make fun of myself in my own memes. I'm bro, I don't really care. This is not that serious. This is nobody cares what you ride. The ride is gonna suck. It doesn't matter where you came from. It's not about that. It's about going and hanging out and just acting a fool in Shreveport. The only person that's proud of that place is Alex Kirby. Everybody else knows that place sucks.
Yeah. It's a shithole.
Right? That's why we go there. Yeah. That's why, the discussion about the Polar ride, there's been discussion about moving it. No, you got to be in the gutter. You got to do gutter things in a gutter town. You can't go somewhere nice.
No rules. Not a single fucking one.
Till some dude like pushes up on some pimp named Lysol's fucking hoe and then gets himself shot or stabbed or something like that. Hey. We got to do a polar. It turns into a polar run.
Yeah. Dude. So the one that I loved today, my favorite was the post about, because the little friendly rivalry with Dewson and Vincent. And as soon as when Vincent said with the new job he didn't know if he was going to be able to go, as soon as I posted that, like within seconds, Vincent responds, "Too bad I'm gonna be there."
Yeah, he hit me up and asked me if I was going to go out there. And don't get me wrong, like I definitely FOMO will kick in as soon as I see people starting. It happened last year. I had to go somewhere last year, but I don't know. It is what it is. I know
that's why that's why we're tagging you, because we know the itch is there. Look, Jace, everybody knows that you would go if you could. That you don't miss it because it's like, I don't want to go. We know that that's not it. That's why as friends we try to
we'll
push
see.
them over the edge.
Like I said,
it's cool. You'll show up in the Jeep and you'll be the laughing stock.
It'll be like Friday night. I accidentally drink. I'll be like, all right, well, one day sober, so it's got to come out now. But
I fell off the wagon. I'm going to Shreveport. I'm going.
No, I have an ample amount of work that I need to get done, and I need to stay rolling on it. Not just the paint work in the shop, but really trying to level up the podcast. This one's a live one, so it's not going to have any bells and whistles, but the ones that we record in here, I want to be able to stick to the whole weekly drops and uploads, and really want to try to at least produce one good YouTube video about something going on a month. And I'm running out of time this month, you know what I mean? So I want to get all that shit done, plus paint.
I will say I don't think people see that. They don't see the behind the scenes, like podcast. I give you a lot of props in that. People don't realize the behind the scenes to just make it happen. It's not like you just send a message to someone and you go, "Hey, you want to have a podcast?" Like a lot of it is because you're not just interviewing people that are from here. So it's having to coordinate with schedules back and forth, making sure that the schedules can align on top of doing videos. And it's not like you're just picking up a GoPro and filming a couple things. And like, it's really a production. And when you see that, if people could see what the time that goes into it, it would make sense why editing is, once you start editing videos to the quality level that you're doing, that is not I'm just going to throw this into CapCut and it's going to cut it up and I'm going to post it. Like,
well, sometimes, like say for instance, you two guys come in today, that's not very complicated, right? Mm-hmm. You both live essentially down the street, but like say, for instance, like Taylor Shifter Crew, when he called a while ago, well, when he came to town, he's here Monday. I got to show him Dallas.
Yeah.
Got to take him to bike night. Got to do the podcast. So there's this deal where we have now 2 days of work gone. Yeah. That I'm, being an ambassador of the town, showing them strokers, our bike night, and food.
And full record, no, you're not complaining about it. You enjoy doing that, but it's time consuming. Yeah, it's part of the process that is what builds these relationships and makes these.
It's like I want to get to the point where we can regularly fly someone to town once a month at least. Like have one guy that we can be like, fly in that's not somebody that can just drive in real quick. You live in Texas or within 350 miles, fuck off. You can drive here.
Yeah.
I'll buy you some Whataburger or something like that. But, if someone lives in California or New York or Washington or somewhere far away that we want to get in that the people want to hear from, then I would like to have the finances to be able to do that. And, we're in the process now where we're like, I spent like a good week and a half building a media deck, which I haven't really ever had a professional one. So I watched YouTube videos on how to make one. And fortunately, I knew enough in Photoshop to be able to carry myself through it and get it done. But it still took fucking, I don't know, like I probably have 36 hours in that thing.
Right.
And then now I got to send it to people. And because I'm not a certain thing in the world of motorcycling, like my numbers don't look as good as some of these breastfeeding videos, dude. There's no way I'm gonna be able to compete with that. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I have a funny story to tell you about that. You mentioned that like a week ago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in my news feed, one popped up, and I was like, "What?"
Did you actually watch it? Now it's everywhere.
I'm gonna tell you.
Pull up your Instagram and hit the search button.
Well, the bad part about it was literally when I went to the Explorer page.
Yeah.
The way you described it was like, oh, if there's a kid there and he's like on the nipple, that's different. Like that'll. No, the kid wasn't even close. I was like,
yeah, it's like a full on titty, dude.
The kid's walking down the street behind her.
Yeah, I was like, well,
Yeah,
that's awkward.
So check it out. This random one popped up today. I was watching a reel, an actual reel from an actual motorcycle situation.
Yeah.
And then the next video was a chick walking around with no shirt on, right? Just straight up no shirt. But like, I guess she lives on a houseboat. I watched long enough to get some context.
Purely for educational purposes.
Well, I wanted to talk
Purely.
about this.
The
but
fourth time you noticed she was on a fucking house.
Well, I added at least 10 views to her one video, right? But no, like the reason I watched this, for one, I want to see how close it would come to showing that. But the other thing is like, all right, and this is the whole spiel that I'm gonna get into. But basically, like this girl's walking around, she has no shirt on, and every once in a while it get low enough where you're like, oh almost, right? And that's kind of what they're doing. They're playing on that kind of deal.
Yeah, because you're going to keep watching to see, did it actually show it?
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at with this is that like there are so many. It's so like now I kind of understand why a lot of these apps didn't want to allow like full on nipple nudity in the social media stuff, like in Instagram, because it'll just turn into a porn site. Straight up. If you think about it. I mean, I don't know for sure, but there are a lot of porn stars that I've seen on other websites that now have very big followings on social media just doing normal ass content that are also risque, if you will. So it's like, so what I'm getting at is that for sure that should exist. You know what I mean? But in the scope of like what you're trying to do with like, if you've ever worked or been, I don't know if the word is like an influencer or a brand ambassador or whatever it is, but like this podcast needs a certain amount of viewership and engagement to be valuable to a sponsor. And the sponsor, along with our Patreon, is what keeps this thing rolling. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Which, by the way, shameless plug, best way to support Fast Life Podcast, go over to Patreon, become a subscriber.
Yeah, thank you. I hate asking for...
Jace will never do that because he feels like he's like panhandling. Go over to Patreon, become a subscriber. There's actually a lot of cool stuff on there.
So what I'm kind of like alluding to here is like how do you put all that into one category? Because if you do, then like everything we do is trash.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
So I think demographically...
But how long until one of those type of chicks start doing stuff in motorcycle world? And now that needs to be the new Simpson helmet ambassador?
No, so what it is I think also when you make these kind of media decks, it's not just eyes, right?
Yeah.
So yes, to a certain degree in marketing, eyes matter. Mm-hmm. But what's usable data is the eyes that see it. How much influence do you have on those people to actually get them to buy into who supports them, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, prime example, I never heard of Lexin until you started promoting Lexin. Mm-hmm. And then everybody had a Lexin. That doesn't mean that Lexin, that everything Lexin sold was because of you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But to say that you didn't have an audience that responded is undeniable. You cannot say that you're,
but it's hard to. It's sometimes it's hard to, like,
and that's why a lot of companies do the whole like they do the promo code thing.
Offer code thing, yeah.
They do the offer codes and promo code things because that's the way that they can look at analytics and say, oh, this is how much they're actually bringing in.
Yeah.
The problem is for years, you've had a way that you've been able to build relationships and package it so the company's understood. You didn't have to have these type of, you didn't have to come with this graph that says this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
They understood because they already kind of bought in, which is great. That's why you've had great
that's what makes
great partnerships. You're not just getting sponsored by any brand. You have a partnership with them where you have a vested interest in their success as much as they do.
Yeah.
And that's how you sell that to a company, is you explain to them, look, man, I am just as much vested in your success as you are. Mm-hmm. These other people don't care. Like, they have numbers. They throw product or money or whatever at them to get it in front of eyeballs. Mm-hmm. But that person doesn't care if that company grows or not, for the most part. Well, which is why they'll flip flop. But that's why they flip around, and that's why in the middle of their video you'll have, and this is a sponsor, blah 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 blah, and then the next month they can have the competing product. Like
building relationship with the brand and trying to have long-term relationship, because you're going to have your spikes and your peaks and valleys essentially. But that's the way I think that's the best way to do it, because a brand also, it speaks when they choose to work with you or side with you or have you a part of their team. It says a lot about how they carry themselves as well. Mm-hmm. So, there's, and not even trying to like point fingers or be anything like that, but there are certain types of content creators that are using other ways to promote their product or the whatever it is that they're doing. And so like as a sponsor or trying to sponsor them or align yourself with them, like you're telling the people like, hey, this is the kind of shit we fuck with. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so it's important that like, if you're about motorcycles and traveling and riding and building community and all that stuff, which is kind of what we've been trying to do forever, but at any rate, it is kind of just a little bit different, because, the whole concept, the whole word influencer is it's got such a different connotation. Is it connotation?
Connotation.
It just sucks now. It's not like a word it's not something you ever want to say, like, I'm an influencer.
It's the scarlet letter, man. You feel like you're the outcast as soon as you say that word. Time, like, you look like you're viewed different.
Even when we started this podcast, it was never oh man, I'm going to be an influencer. It's like, no, man, we're just going to do this podcast and we're going to start talking to folks and and then you're
building community. This is just
a familiar face.
Exactly. It's the cheer. It's the Cheers effect.
I've always liked the idea. I think the word brand ambassador is a better representation, because if you align with a couple of brands, then you become an ambassador of that brand. Mm-hmm. I drink 805 tea. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's like you that to me is more organic and authentic, as opposed to like if I was a review channel, like every day I had a new product in here and I'm reviewing it, that's different. Like I don't expect you to be, I expect you to have electric lighting and a custom dynamics next to each other, and then come in with some clean moto and. Yeah.
And there's nothing there, and I think we talk about this kind of stuff a lot in Garage Talks. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a place for that. Yeah. I do that with a lot of camera stuff because I don't have all the $1 million in the world to buy every. But so I watch a lot of those things to kind of learn from people that are into lenses. They do reviews. They talk about the differences, what's better, what's worse, and you can make your decision what you're willing to buy.
Yeah.
So there's a place for that. I just you choose, and I don't blame you. I'm the same way. That doesn't inspire me to want to do things.
Yeah, I feel like to do quality reviews on things, you have to like put it through a pace. Like it's almost like you need to, if I'm gonna review a sissy bar bag or luggage for a bike, I need to go do something where I actually need to put luggage on it and get to a point of like, not like a day trip somewhere.
Yeah.
When you're 5 days in on a trip and you're starting to get annoyed because you need to get that thing that's at the bottom of the bag and you have to move around too much. Why is there a spot for this type of thing?
Why is it when I have my gloves on, the zipper just does not want to open? Yeah. Like I got to take the glove off or I got to hold the bag to be able to.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that I would do. So it's almost like everything. Like
You'd have to do long-term reviews.
Because the way I would want to do it, it'd be so much work. And companies don't like cutting checks. They like cutting parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll pay you in windshields. You know what I'm saying? And I can't pay the electricity bill. I can't buy new microphones. I can't.
You're already busy enough. You don't have time to be a storefront to try to recoup. Yeah. I get you.
Selling. Trust me, dude. Every once in a while, like I'm leaving a lot on the table by not selling products. But also, when you start selling products, it's a whole nother layer of work and you know how people are. It's like they place an order at fucking 2 a.m. and then they're emailing you question marks. Where's my tracking order? And I didn't even know that this thing came. I woke up to this. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, I don't
look, man, I'm sure every time you think, man, it would be nice to have some extra supplemental income selling parts. You just get on the phone and have a conversation with Rennie, and he can tell you all the fun stuff that he deals with.
Well,
with sales
I've had the brand. I've done the part sales. I've had all that stuff before.
Yeah, you know.
I already know, like, and the reason I never wanted to make hard parts that were like Fast Life brand, like, I mean, I designed a lot of products for a lot of brands over the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that if I sell a product, whatever it is, a wheel design or whatever, I'm the guy that they're going to call when they have a problem installing it, or they have a problem, or they wreck and they want to blame the wheel company. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it's like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Is
the juice worth the squeeze?
Dude,
when you got a bunch of headaches?
This dude right here bought a helmet from me before I even knew who he was. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't know his like last name and all that stuff. So he orders a helmet from me, and I don't really sell a lot of helmets. I am a dealer for Simpson, but I don't like people aren't buying helmets from me all the time. So he orders a helmet, and then Simpson's in this transition period where they're kind of getting bought out by Harley carburetors, and all their like return and shipping thing is kind of fucked. So it's like, you bought like a carbon mod bandit. This is like one of the most expensive thing they sold. And this dude's got a fucking head on him, dude. So it wouldn't fit. He hits me up and he's like, hey man, this helmet doesn't fit. And I'm like, oh. So now it's like that, I bought the helmet. It's paid for. It's done. I done drank that thing at bike night. I drank the profit off that last week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now I'm, you know what I mean? Like,
I just want to thank you because I have that carbon mod bandit that I got from him because it didn't fit and it was brand new. And I paid him for it.
Yeah.
In all actuality,
circle of life.
No. Add another layer to it. The way I ended up with that helmet was because we were going to the camp out, and that's when my back was messed up, so I had to drive.
Yeah.
So we put the helmet in my truck because he was going to try to sell it at the camp out. Well, we got to the camp out, and it sat in my truck the whole weekend because who's trying to sell a helmet?
Try to sell it.
Huh?
You said you wanted it.
No, we did take it. We did take it originally for that, and then I was like, and
you saw it and you said,
"This is dope."
If it doesn't sell, maybe we can talk numbers or something."
Yeah,
and it was like,
and that's how that happened. So it ended up sitting in my truck conveniently all weekend. We were too busy having a good time, and then that helmet ended up being sold to me. So I still have that helmet.
Yeah,
that is a fire helmet, by the way.
I mean, it's an awesome helmet, dude,
that is the big swinging D helmet that I got. Of all the Simpsons I have, the carbon mod is the most expensive.
Yeah. Well, how much are the adventure ones? I haven't even looked into that yet.
I think they're like $5. If you get the carbon adventures, they're about the same as the mod carbon. I mean, all the carbon ones are expensive, but I mean,
yeah,
cost money to be cool.
I mean, if it was cheap, who would want to buy it?
Right?
It'd be a HJC or something.
Why carbon's cool.
Right? I mean, if you don't want to be cool, just go buy a Scorpion helmet.
There's actually some cool shit coming out around Mama Tried from Simpson. Like, not new models, but like some new shit within the model line that's already there. It's pretty dope.
I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, I'll tell you offline.
Yeah, we'll that'd be cool, man. I like seeing new shit, but man. I get it. Like it's like that sometimes. So I don't blame you for not wanting to sell shit. Like it's.
Well, I want to. It's one of those deals that as I kind of like figure out some, like, I get enough of these tentacles of the brand kind of under control that I can open up to it, and that's the whole point of like when Britta came in and we started this stuff to sell the T-shirts and the prints and things like that. Which we're still working all that shit, but that's the point, is to be able to start selling stuff. But what we're gonna sell, I don't know. Like,
but I think that's a different.
I'm not trying to sell the drag catalog.
That's what I'm saying. Soft goods is different than parts coming from third party. You're selling things that are not.
I want to sell for the rider, not the bike.
Yeah.
So like, to me, like I said, hard parts. It's always a gamble, right? Because let's just say you want to. I have a riser design, right? Well, in order to make this design and to make it profitable, I need to buy enough or have enough cut to make sense, right? Mm-hmm. You don't do 5 risers and like you're not going to get a good deal running those on a machine, right? So you need to do like 50 sets of risers. Well, that 50 sets is probably still going to cost you $150, $200 a piece.
Yeah, you've got to have because the margin you make on those things is not huge, and the upfront investment is a lot. So if I'm going to upfront this much money, how much am I going to make in the long game on this? Does it make sense, or is it just better for me to put that money somewhere else?
Yeah,
and that's so I'm with you.
And then you're sitting on the inventory. What if your design sucks? And then there's also like anodizing is like everybody wants the anodize, right? Oh, I want the gold to match. Well, then it doesn't match the Speed Dealer's gold or doesn't match Boosted Brad's gold. And so now you have like...
It's slightly off or, So
now it's like, now this is a blim and it's not worth shit. So it's like, there's just so much there. Yeah. But when, like Boosted Brad and Speed Dealer have had a parts line for years. They've already figured out this stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't. Most of the times I would like sketch up ideas for brands, and then they would do all the actual nerd stuff and make it a reality.
So what I want to know is, and I'm with you. You want to market things for the rider, not the bike, because those will change also. Trends change and all. Man, can we get, as someone that's rode across the country multiple times, put on more miles than probably 99% of people on planet Earth?
I wouldn't say that.
I said 99% of people on planet Earth.
I wouldn't say that. Probably like 94%.
You think?
I do a lot of miles, but there's dudes there's sleepers out there all the time, man, just fucking doing stupid miles every year.
Do you know how many billions of people there are on the planet?
Well, I mean, there's only...
I didn't say motorcycle ride. See, you're the language guy. Like,
I don't think of it like that. I do enough miles to be one. I have a great relationship with the road.
Can we get some Fast Life branded rain gear?
That's the hardest shit to make.
Tell me that wouldn't be sick.
It's just hard shit to make, man.
I know, but you
ride in the rain and get wet like an adult.
I don't know why you're telling me this. Ask anyone that's rode with me how much fucking rain gear I have.
I mean, I bought a rain suit.
Devin's rain gear is a pair of Dickie shorts.
Yeah, black. Hey, my winter gear forever. That's a long-standing joke. Has been a hoodie and a neck gaiter. Like I don't
get like frostbite on his knees,
bro. The only person that was more hardcore than me in the cold was David Golden. That dude came out like literally with shorts on. Last year the Polar Ride I did wear pants, but like I don't have like crazy heated layered gear like that. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I've thought about that a lot. I do like the idea of making. I like the idea of making cut and sew things. Like I'd love to do beanies, but I would like it to be not just a generic beanie that I throw my logo on. You know what I mean? I want it to be something that's kind of tailored in a certain way for a certain style and look. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That in between of the super hipster and the Carhartt. You know what I mean? So, which is also hipster. So there's no, wearing a beanie is hipster. That's how it is now.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, I think there was a chart that said like, if you wear this beanie this way, then like you work on some heavy machinery or in oil field. If you wear it this way, you probably rob and steal from people. If you wear this way, you run a barista or a coffee shop or some shit,
So I'm not gonna lie.
Turn the beanie industry upside down.
So I'm not gonna lie.
Fuzzy ball on the top.
Hanging out with your ass has caused my beanies to get smaller because I don't like the up on the top of my head hanging off.
It wasn't Trey at bike night with that huge condom thing on his head,
yes,
like the cum catcher part.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't like that look, and then also because I wear my glasses all the time for work. I don't like the beanie to come over my ears because then it messes with my glasses. So I've noticed that it's been rolled up a little smaller, and now I'm like, I'm one step above a yarmulke.
When you wear a really thick, big beanie, it's perfect for when you're outside. But as soon as you get indoors somewhere, it's too hot.
Yeah.
So when you have a beanie, like for someone like me who's kind of bald and shit, when you have a beanie that's above your head, it's on it, but it's not this. It's like you got air kind of going through, so you're not getting hot.
I'm telling you,
this is a little big for me. This beanie is a little bit tall for my liking, but I can fuck with it. I got a little condom, little bit of cum space right here.
You're not fully erect yet. You're almost there.
This is good. This is a good one. I can fuck with it. But yeah, I don't know.
You definitely it's not as chopper beanie as your other beanies, but it's definitely
I got some.
It's definitely hipster color.
I got some damn near yarmulkes, brother.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But
Haney said it best though with that. Like he says, the drunker he gets is the more the beanie goes up. It's a gauge.
He's fucked up. It's hanging on the back.
Yeah.
Just see that one meme where the thing was on the back of that guy's head and everybody's trying to figure out the science behind
what's
how
holding it on.
on.
Yeah.
It's like, I ain't trying to do all that, man. But I don't know. Every once in a while I get into the thought. I mean, we want to make more clothing and stuff like that, T-shirts, but we also want to figure out how to do something that's, I don't know. I just want to be myself. And right now I think I'm heavily influenced by everybody else.
Yeah.
And so everything I feel like I create right now doesn't feel authentic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so like I have a lot of T-shirt designs.
You want to feel like you're biting someone's style, but you're
Yeah. And I have a lot of T-shirt designs that I like, but right now it's just like a lot of logos, like Fast Life logos. And I mean, there's a place for that, I guess, in any brand, but like I don't have any of those T-shirts like Taylor from Shifter Crew has, or Rusty Butcher has, like the lifestyle ones, like fuck you in your bagger or some shit like that. I don't know, whatever they would say. What's the real, my other ride is your dad or something like that. I don't know, whatever people would say.
allegedly.
So to me, I don't have those like sayings, because all my sayings are inappropriate, like gay as AIDS or something like that. So I don't know how to like incorporate.
That could go on a shirt. That could absolutely go on a shirt.
This is definitely going to get demonetized. Thinking about you the other day.
They don't listen past the first 20 minutes, right?
Oh yeah.
No.
The algorithms don't listen this deep in.
Right.
But no, I'd like to do more of that stuff. But at the same time, man, I think what ultimately I'm trying to do this year is, and I think I was getting to this earlier, for the last couple of years, the thing was I bust ass with paint until like April or May, and then I'm traveling all summer. Whether it's to Born Free, to doing some travels with the homies, or getting ready for Sturgis, it was always hard to work on bikes and paint bikes. I'd usually have a helmet or two to get ready for friends at Sturgis, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Well, now, instead of doing like very big trips, like, we have our trip that we're planning for doing the El Diablo, which will essentially be like 9, maybe 10 days. So it's like a week.
Yeah.
Really
a long week.
A long week. So to me, it's like I've been doing these 2-week trips, and then like 23, I did a Born Free trip, which was essentially almost 2 weeks long, came home for 5 days, and then did a 2-week-long trip with the homies around the Great Lakes.
I remember that.
Came home for a week and a half, or actually 2 weeks, went to Covington's to paint a bagger for them for Sturgis. Came home and had 5 days before I jumped on the road to go to Sturgis. So it was like, and then this summer was 7 weeks on the road. So it was like,
is Birdie even gonna know what to do with you, like around?
She's gonna be like, "What the fuck? I'm not used to you being around."
Yeah, she's like,
with this kind of weather outside.
Go away, loser.
But I mean, I still want to go to Born Free. I still plan to do Sturgis, but also like, Britta and I are on wanting to dial in the van to take the van to Sturgis with the chopper in the back.
Yeah.
And then do like a road trip out west or into the Yellowstone or whatever in the van.
Yeah.
And kind of do that, which I'm pretty stoked about doing that. You know what I mean?
I'm excited. I still have a plan. My big 2 trips this year is obviously going to be El Diablo.
Yeah.
Just because that's really fun, even though that's not a super long trip. And then I have a trip planned with my guys Cole, Blake, Jacob to go to Sturgis, but we're going to take the long way and kind of head east, and then make like a big loop going back towards Sturgis.
As long as y'all are there for the party that we do at our buddy Scott and Winton's place. Okay. That's a good thing to be a part of, man. Literally everybody, it's a lot of cool people there, but it's a great networking thing. I mean, you're literally like last year, everybody from the Cut Rate to FXR Division to the owner of Corbin Seats to, fucking Dave Perowitz. Like it's always. Yeah.
I would like to check.
Holt,
I would like to check it out, and
that's
definitely something I'd like to make happen.
That's what I always try to tell people is like, you got to get out. It is about showing up to things, but it's also about showing up and actually being awkward and going, "Hey man, hi, my name's Jace."
Yeah.
Or my name's Devin. Like I run this YouTube thing. I do this. I do that. It's fucking weird, but you make the introduction and they see you again next year or the year after, and it becomes a familiar thing, and then doors start to open.
You plant that seed for the relationship to grow and flourish.
Exactly. So that's kind of like what I always try to tell people is like, it's not that you went to Sturgis once, it's that you got to show up every year.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be in the industry and be, you know, part of all this, it's important to be familiar.
Speaking of motorcycle, not just industry, but just in general, dude, we gotta get rolling on Nitty-Gritty, bro.
Yeah, Nitty-Gritty's I got it written down here to talk about it. So Nitty-Gritty it's not a camp out replacement, but if you want to experience some camp out vibes of what our camp out was, this is going to be the next best thing, right? Nitty-Gritty, Chopper City, going down March 20th, which is a Thursday, to a Sunday, which I believe is the 23rd. Really badass place. Connor was with us last year. We rode out together. Good time of year to camp. In Texas, like where this place is at, it's kind of like East Texas, essentially.
It's Piney Woods, dog.
Piney Woods. The wildflowers are in full swing. I know it sounds a little fruity or whatever, but you know, riding your bike and when the scenery is different, it makes it more interesting and makes it feel cool. You know.
Yeah. I think that's cool because it's like, you know, that time of year we like kind of just came out of winter.
Yeah.
So it's like first time you get out, you know, spread your legs a little bit and get rolling, and you get to kind of come right into this cool area of Texas that not as many people like know about. It's not the hill country, it's not Big Bend, but it's cool in its own way. It's different.
It's different, yeah.
I think that's cool. I think the location is sick, you know, where it's got like that old Western feel to it.
Yep.
And then what we've talked about with the elements we're trying to bring and kind of the connecting the two communities, I think will be rad.
So the guys that are putting on Nitty-Gritty, Destroyer Garage, Eric Vaughn, I've been to Nitty-Gritty a bunch of times, even before it was at this spot, and it's always been a great time. And the thing that we've always said is like the performance guys party just like the chopper guys. It's like once you get in the bar, other than like maybe there's a lot of Thrashing t-shirts and then there's a lot of Morrison Magneto shirts over here, for the most part, everybody's doing the same thing, right? And in the last year or so, we've been pushing that together more here in Dallas and having a great time with it. The thing with Nitty-Gritty is that there's already a lot of shit going on, so there's less that we have to create like entertainment. Fuck, I need to turn that off.
Yeah, instead of like having to like reinvent the wheel, or like, I like the fact that you lean in. You're like, you know what, man, I don't want to have my own event. I like this event. It's cool. I could see it growing together.
Yeah.
And you know, a prime example of that is the after party for the swap meet.
Mm-hmm.
Swap meets are primarily more of a chopper crowd, but there was a lot of guys in Dallas that were not chopper guys, and you know, helping organize that after party. Everybody had a good time and everyone was laughing. Everyone was having a good, a great time together. And it kind of helps. Born Free's the same way. It's that vibe that like, you just like a different kind of bike. It's the same people, same thing we like to do. So I think that's going to be cool, being able to add that little element.
So essentially Nitty-Gritty has, you know, they have the chopper show, they have the chopper drags, they have all the biker games, they have a lot of cool vendors, good food, their concerts, like all the shit. It's got a whole thing. All we're bringing to the table is a performance motorcycle show, some invited, I wouldn't say the word is builders, but invited bikes, like some ones that me and you have been talking about.
Yeah.
That will be on display in our area with this show. And we're trying to make really badass trophies and trying to find a way to get some actual, like, whether it's a cash prize or some actual, like, thing, you won the trophy and this from this brand. So, you know, Devin and I are like really sitting down and trying to figure out, and, you know, we'll have it all done for Nitty-Gritty. So if you guys are going to be looking for something to do and you want to do something more than just go sit at Froggy's at Daytona and spend stupid money from girls that are not going to fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can come, like, it's camp out vibes. That's all I can say.
Yeah. The idea.
So a lot of dudes.
A lot of the idea that we've been talking about.
The chopper guys bring the girls. We just got to go look.
Yeah. Just show up and don't be weird. Honestly, if you were gonna get laid, you'd have a better chance. Now, I'm not promising you'd get laid, but you would have a better chance getting laid there than you would at Daytona with a chick that works at a bar. Yeah, no.
I mean, you seen that video of Sit Down Steve, right?
No, that's Steve. That had. I don't think that had anything to do with Daytona. I think that just had to do with Steve being Steve.
Really messed up my morning one day coming across that video. But anyway, no.
Why'd you talk about adding to view count? You know you watched that a million times.
No,
I got sent it so many times.
Yeah. But Nitty-Gritty is going to be a good time, and I think what I started to kind of realize is instead of trying to run events yourself, like figure out what we can bring to help the events that already have like market share, kind of make them better, and the ones that are open-minded to it, of having people like us come in and bring just whatever element that we can to make the event again better, or more to do, or more to see, or whatever. And it's like bridging the gaps is what I like doing. I think it's interesting what I loved about Born Free Cali the first time I went was you literally had this. You had an area where you had all these performance brands and bikes, but right next to it you had all these insane custom built choppers. Yeah. And everything, it didn't feel like us and them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of what I liked about it. And I think that, a lot of events, there's a lot of events that are designed to be chopper only because, it's a very specific bike. So I don't see Party at the Pin having lowrider STs in that place. That's a big ass bike to take up a lot of space in a very tight kind of quarters. And it's a vibe. They're creating a vibe in those bikes. It's not like it's just like, hey man, sweatpants and Nikes ain't attire for everywhere. Sure. You can wear it a lot of places, but some places just it don't work. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the thing. It's like some of these events, some of these shows, it just makes sense for it, to not have certain bikes in there. It's, you wouldn't really have those bikes at MotoGP track or the Bagger races either. So there's always that, right? Yeah. I don't know. But like I said, it's just fun. It's fun just because I'm meeting a lot of cool people that have a lot of cool shit. And there's a lot of like really talented people in that world that I'm learning from, that I'm, learning knowledge from or gaining perspective from. 100%. So it just opens, a lot of opportunities up to do cool shit with new people.
I'm trying to convince Haney to go to the Polar Ride. Oh, man. Through that relate. Tell me he would not be. Tell me he does not.
Dude, he would fit in.
Right?
He'd fit in pretty well. If Haney goes, I'll go. If Haney will go, I'll go 100%.
Okay. Somebody that's watching this needs to cut that part and send it to me on Instagram because it's going up and it's going to get tagged every day till Haney says he's going now.
See, but I can't be sober around Haney.
Dude.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Okay, here's the demonetization. You want to talk about gay as AIDS? That's gay as AIDS.
What kind of like? I'm trying to be sober, brother. Aren't you supposed to give me a coin or something like that?
Don't you?
You got to earn that first, right?
You ain't taking no steps yet.
He wants a coin for
it's
showing
been 2
up.
days, dude. They have a week coin.
They do. They probably do actually. At some point, I'm not even.
I was really thinking like, this is kind of off topic, but it started maybe thinking about it. Like, I really thought that usually on YouTube as your channel grows, like there's like a email and a thing that happens whenever you hit certain like accolades. I think it's the word. And so when we hit 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, nothing. I'm like, God damn, what like.
Comment just came up.
He's just
give him a challenge coin.
That's a good one. Hell yeah.
Only if we can have a challenge coin that says you flip it, drink. Or drink.
Oh man, yeah, I would do that. That's probably the other thing is I have my kid that weekend too, so there's that. So I might have to figure out something with that. But
yeah, that's okay. So you will get it. You get an honorable discharge from the Polar Ride if your kid's gonna be here. Because
honestly, man, like this past weekend, I spent the entire like 4 days with my son and my daughter, which getting them together is always a little difficult because my daughter's 23 years old. She lives in Oklahoma. My son's 14 going on 15. He loves being around his sister. But it's just like
I was going to ask, do they have a good relationship?
Oh yeah, they're really good. But it's just like So now, once again, just like when Shifter Crew and Gabe came out, now it's 3 days of breakfast, lunch, and dinner and hanging out all day and not complaining because I don't get to spend a lot of time with my kids like that.
Yeah.
But in the hindsight of like the work that I need to be getting done, like that was 4 days off of work, which I honestly, unless I'm on a trip, I work every day.
So I got to ask, as a dad, was it cool from what I saw on Instagram, like that seemed like it was pretty cool that your daughter kind of fangirls really hard on Oliver Peck and then you like took her to get a tattoo?
Yeah, dude. That's just flexing, dude. All right.
Is that where you got to, for a minute, like look really cool to your daughter? You're like, oh yeah, that's the homie. What are you talking about?
Kinda. So it's like, I remember the last time Peck was on the podcast, we opened the podcast by talking about that because my daughter either that day or a day before was like, she just texted me and goes, hey, do you know Oliver Peck? And I'm like, yeah, I've done a podcast with him. He's a bike dude in Dallas, does a lot of stuff for the community here. And, we hung out a few times. Oh, that's so cool. Cause apparently at the time, like Ink Master had started coming on to Netflix and then she got to watch all the old stuff and got to whatever. And then, we talked about it on the podcast, me and Oliver that time. And then when it was Christmas, so Christmas Day, Oliver texts me and goes, hey, or the day before Christmas, he goes, Christmas Day, we're doing a group ride if you want to come on the ride. And I was like, fuck, my bike was apart at the time. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't make it. And I started thinking about it because, my daughter's up there. I hadn't got her Christmas present yet. I was like, hey, I'll get you, because her birthday's the 11th. And then, so it's like she has a Christmas birthday situation. Like, I'll get you whatever you want tattoo from Oliver for your birthday and Christmas if you'll come down and spend a weekend here. And she's like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So she scheduled the 18th. I got with Oliver, booked the time, and then, did the tattoo, and it was fun, and he was cool, and they hung out. And then my son was like, really wanted to get his ears pierced, and that shit's expensive as fuck nowadays. God damn, getting ears pierced?
Really?
Like, what happened to just like go to Claire's at the mall and
with the little gun, they pop it in there.
Dude, like, first off, I mean, I pretty much had to pee in a cup to prove I was his father to all these places. They go so much. There's so much red tape, and I get it for a minor to get ears pierced, not a tattoo, ears pierced, right? Then, fucking, it was $140 fucking to get his 2 ears pierces.
Jace, let's be honest.
2 ears pierces.
Let's be honest. You went in there and you were like, yeah, I'm his dad. No, motherfucker, I'm not going on Maury. Let's keep it real.
No, well, that part wasn't, I mean, it was just kind of expensive. We went to a piercer, so that was why it was expensive, not like a normal place in the mall where you would do it, but I don't know.
You went to a professional.
But I think there's an experience to getting it done in a tattoo shop versus sitting at the jewelry part of Claire's at the mall or wherever they do it now.
I don't even think that was a jewelry place. It was like a little.
It's a trinket.
I was gonna say a chick's trinket store that they come out with this crazy gun and they're just like, okay, hold on, let's put these fake earrings in your ear real quick. Bam.
So somebody that just hadn't even. This is my first time running the gun. You know what I mean?
They've got like an instruction paper in the back, not even like a manual or certification. They're just like,
this chick was at least she had a micrometer. She's like measuring from different points of the ear to make it centered. I'm like, that's a nicer one than I have in my shop.
Right?
You know what I mean? So, but it was a good chance, and my son is at that age where literally when he comes over. We have a great conversation on the drive over. We usually go have dinner. And that's really the only time we really get to talk because as soon as he gets to the house, he jumps in the room, puts on a fucking headset, and goes to town talking to his friends. And so I don't really get a chance to really talk with him. So this was a great opportunity to force my kids to be together, which that's not hard to do, but like force my son to be more engaged
with as a family. So that's
when they came in Friday night, we watched a lot of movies together, which was cool to get my son to come watch movies with us. So we started off by watching Shane Gillis' special on Netflix because I was my son likes him, but he never seen the special. And then my daughter, I was like, you got to watch this, dude. And so we watched that. It was funny. And I think we watched the next day. When Oliver was getting the tattoo done. Oliver likes a lot of movies, and if you ever in the tattoo shop, you'll see a lot of like movie memorabilia type stuff in there. And my daughter likes Kill Bill, Quentin Tarantino movies, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, "Have you ever seen True Romance?" And she's like, "No, I've never seen it." And I was like, "You got to watch it. It's actually pretty good. It's Quentin Tarantino's first movie he ever wrote. He didn't direct it, but it's his story or whatever." So we had after we had a whole day doing stuff, we all went home and got some beers and sat there and watched True Romance as a family, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a great experience to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was expensive. I'll tell you that much. I mean, that's why I got to work now.
Grown kids, dog. Grown kids.
I feel for, we always give shit to all the homies that have a bunch of kids like Vincent, and I feel your pain, brother. Like, I only had both of them for a weekend, and I was like, fuck. Now I know why motherfuckers go to CC's and don't go out to eat all the time. They cook more,
Yeah.
When you're
feeding
buying
an army, yeah.
Dude, yeah, it was a lot. And then the way I am is, we were at Buffalo one night, and I had a beer. I bought her boyfriend a beer. He's old enough. He's a military guy. Cool, real good dude. Like, cool kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I swear to God, like, we started having some drinks. I'm like, fuck, now it's a $200 tab. You know?
I get that. It resonates with me. I don't have kids, but that's how I feel. Like, I've been going to bike night forever by myself, and the last couple weeks, my wife has decided to go to bike night, and the bill doubles.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, when my bank account is set up, I was not prepared for this. Like,
should have Britta's been coming recently too, and she eats there every time, and she gets a couple drinks, and it's like I immediately have an over $100 tab every time. So yeah.
No, I feel you, but that's. I'm not knocking it. I'm glad that my wife feels comfortable coming to bike night. I'm not saying I don't want her to come, but it is like sometimes it gets dropped on me. I was like, oh, all right, so it's gonna be one of those nights.
Hey, I straight up tell her, hey, you're paying for the night. Hit her with the eyebrows up.
Hey, I hit
for the night.
So that happened today with my wife. Like, she called because she's been working part-time right now because of the thing that are coming back from her surgery for the tumor removed. And so she gets off at noon. Well, I was going to lunch. I think it was like 1:00. And she's like, oh, where are you going? I just went like to Panda Express because it's close by work. She's like, oh, okay, I'll meet you for lunch.
Yeah.
And I was like,
rush.
I was like, she's like, oh, do you not want me to meet you? I was like, no, I didn't say that. I just hit her with it. I was like, I just didn't want my lunch bill to double. She's like, no, I can buy my own lunch. You know what? I'll go ahead and buy you lunch. You're winning. Yes. Meet me for lunch.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, Britta pays for a lot of our meals when we go out. But when we kind of play it back and forth,
Yeah.
So, but she does. Like I said, we don't really do that whole, like, if we go somewhere nice, it's like,
sure.
I'll pay for it, but there's been plenty of times that she'll cut the bill, and to me, that's cool as fuck when she's...
Man, so I will say this.
I mean, it's nice that I don't have to pay for it, but it's also cool because, when we host people and we take them out to dinner and stuff, like, sometimes she'll just get it. I'm like, because she's a fucking boss. That's why.
Right?
That's cool.
Dude, you know what? I got to give my wife kudos because little things like that, like, I may pay for meals most of the time. There's times where she'll be like, no, I'll get it. Or like, you were giving me shit the day that we were at the truck yard because I didn't have my camera on my strap.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find it. I don't know what I did with it. Well, yesterday we were going home from bike night and she's like, oh, stop at the mailbox. Dude, she bought me 2 more. She's like, that way you can have...
We've already discussed it. Your wife just likes spending money.
No, but I'm here for it. But if she's going to spend money on me, I feel better about it, at least.
She likes to spend money on you as surprise, but it's like, we were talking about this. It's like, there are a lot of things that if my wife was to pay for, it would be dope. But confirm with me that that's what I want first.
Right?
You're going to get the wrong color.
Right?
Or just like
something,
the sentiment is perfect. It's so badass and it means a lot. But it's like if my wife bought me a laptop and then she didn't get the one I need, it's like, here's the deal. I appreciate it, but we have to take that back now.
Right.
Because essentially, right?
No, yeah, I'm with you. But I did think it was cool. She knew what I had, and literally she bought 2. I was like, you bought 2 of them? And she's like, yeah. Since you have basically 2 cameras, you have 2, so you don't have to worry about losing one.
Hey,
I was like, oh, all right, well. You know, and they're not cheap. I think the camera strap I have, it's not quite as much as. Well, I think it may be how much you said you pay for the Peak. It's something like $40 a piece. So like $80 in camera straps that I don't have to pay for now. I mean, that's winning. Like,
bro, you're so cheap.
Sometimes.
Remember when he was trying to get an office chair?
The chair, yeah.
I'm like, dude, get on Marketplace.
I did get it on Marketplace.
He just dropped $10,000 on a MacBook to edit videos, and he's like, "Fuck, guys, I don't know if I can do this."
You say $10,000?
No, it's not that much.
It's like $2,000.
No, I said $2,000.
Oh, $2,000.
Yeah, and I dropped that. She didn't buy that.
Yeah. It's I mean, trust me, I need to be way more frugal with my money.
I'm frugal on some things. She was actually really proud of me that I ordered the swing arm because
nice.
She's like, you never do it. You would have talked yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. As a husband and a provider, like, I'm always thinking, is this a want or a need? Mm-hmm. I take care of needs first, and then wants, I try to get as many wants as I can, but a lot of times I start thinking, man, if I spend it on that want and then somewhere like I missed or a new need comes up, do I have the money to cover that need?
Yeah.
So I'll put it off. I'll look at it a million times and I'll do it in my head, and then I start thinking about how much, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about swing arms that are like $2,500. If you start adding more options, you can get close to $3,000 depending on what you do. Like, that's a lot of money for something is that a need or a want?
Yeah.
Because you don't need a swing arm. I wanted a swing arm.
Yeah.
So I bought a swing arm, and my wife was just like, I'm proud that you actually win. You actually pulled the trigger. She's like, you deserve it. You work hard. Like,
she's just an enabler now.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
My wife's like you, and I'm like your wife. Like, I'm more like, fuck it, I need it. Everything is a need. There's not such thing as a want. Because if it's in my head and I want it, that means I need it. You know what I mean? And for a long time, it's always been that thing that, like, all right, I want that lens, and it's a lot of money. I'll just buy it and I'll figure it out. Because
that is my wife.
I'll have to, like, bust my ass or work harder or whatever, but it's like I'll figure it out. But if I don't buy it, I didn't figure it out. I didn't make the extra money. I didn't hustle harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like
I feel like it's a motivator for you.
But that goes back to the whole, like, why I feel like I want to kind of cut out the drinking is because that motivator, it hasn't been working the same way it has in the past. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe there is a lot more brain fog going on in just my mind,
drinking
or my whatever. You know what I mean? And I'd like to be able to. I don't know. I miss the days when I would go to work and work till 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, not that I want to do that. I miss the part of me that would do that.
You miss the ambition that was there.
When I was building the FXR, dude, there was no such thing as all I wanted to do was be here. I fucking miss that feeling so bad.
I don't think I just don't think it's hit you yet. Like, wait till we start getting closer to that El Diablo run and that chopper needs to get done.
Well, see,
that fire will come.
Well, right now, the issue with the chopper isn't as much about what I can do. It's I need to buy a bunch of shit right now. So I need to work a lot. So it's like I'm busting ass to get jobs done so that I can get the money to buy the parts that I need.
Well, that's what I mean.
So that I can then work on that bike.
So as it gets closer, and that goes in turn. When I say that you're going to get that urge, is because the reality is going to set in eventually here. Oh shit, I really need to be able to, I need to buy that so I can get this done to make this time frame.
Yeah.
It's not that it's too far away for you to see that, because you do see it.
Yeah.
But when that crunch starts to get like, hey, now I got deadlines that if I don't order this by this time, it's not going to be in to have it done so we can make this trip on this bike. I think you'll be in.
My goal with it, if everything in a perfect world happens, then at Nitty-Gritty, it'll be a roller sitting on the grass at the booth. Not done, but like motor in, trans in, wheels, like nothing painted, everything still raw, kind of sitting there in the goal is, because that Nitty-Gritty is like almost just over a month away from when we would leave to go to El Diablo. So that means that coming home, now you got to strip it down, figure out if I'm painting the frame, powder coating it, what I'm doing, and start doing all that stuff, get it back together, and have hopefully at least 2 weeks to go ride it around, and like shake it down, make sure everything's working good.
No, man, you're going full blown Jesse James biker build off. You rolled right off the table, and
no, not on that. If I have another, to be fair, the problems that we had on the El Diablo run were
Terralingua.
Terralingua, the FXR tour thing. I mean, Connor was with me. With it being a plug, like it doesn't matter how badass of a builder you are. Mm-hmm. That could happen to anybody.
Sure.
And actually, once I had a conversation with Forever Rad, he told me it happened to him on the Mustard King the first year he built it, because that plug is so long that it can easily get binded up and actually break the internal pins in it, which is what happened on mine, which is why we're chasing a charging issue that we think is going to be the culprit, is going to be a stator or a rectifier or something like that. And come to find out, it's a little bitty broken plug on the inside of, a broken prong on the inside of a plug. Like, I mean, I found out that was the issue as I had the entire primary and everything off of my bike. But essentially,
you were the meme. At that moment, you realized you done fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, because no one would have really thought to check that.
Not just your primary, but the
Two
primary
primaries.
off of both fucking bikes.
Yeah. And like fixed it and rode it on the tour. And the next day, the next problem I had was it shorted out on, because they have breakers on that instead of like a fuse box.
Yeah.
And so the breakers, you do loops, like they're called like service loops in the wiring. And one of them, I don't know how, but eventually it kind of moved a little bit and it arced out and like essentially blew the breaker.
Okay.
What it did. And basically like that's what happened today on the wind. From Amarillo to Dallas, and it was so fucking windy. We were all on the side of the highway. I was like, just put it in the trailer. We get it to Dallas. I open that thing up. I see it's touched. I put another battery on it. Runs fine. Rode that battery, that used battery I bought right then and there from some porter at the damn Strokers. That's the battery that I ended up changing after almost 20,000 miles in Indiana on my trip this summer.
After 5 new ones on the
like
FXR
4
tour?
new batteries on the tour. But it's like, I mean, I enjoy that, but I don't really want to. I mean, the goal is to not have those problems if you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, and the chopper is going to be so much less than even that.
Nobody wants to have those problems, but it's just interesting because if you think about it, that the universe manifests things. If the bike doesn't break down, you don't have to put out the SOS. You don't meet Scott. You don't build you don't build that relationship and have these rad conversations with him and have this whole new person that now when you travel, like.
Yeah, the perspective on it is like I wouldn't have changed it. You know what I mean? At all. It put a lot of things in motion that we were talking about downstairs too.
Yeah, 100%.
But honestly, if I don't break down that day, a lot of things, the whole world would look, everything would be different.
It would.
There would be no Chopper Jays.
I mean, it might be FXR Tour 3 J's. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's like a lot of things that happen and it kind of put a lot of things in motion, that I'm not, it is what it is.
Good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah. But I mean, Scott's been a fucking homie. He's been a dude that I'm like, I'm fucking so stoked I met him. And to be able to go stay at his house, twice now since then? Me and my wife hung out with him on New Year's last year. And then we stopped in, Jake and all of us on the way out to Born Free this year and went to the New Mexico T-Bar Tuesday that they do. Fucking awesome time. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't change anything. But it is kind of like looking back at it like, fuck, man, all this shit happened.
Right.
Because of a fucking plug.
Right.
Yes, that's the plan. Get that done. Worst case scenario, if the chopper isn't done, then I'm just going to take the FXR to El Diablo.
And let us talk shit the whole time.
Hey, if you can keep up. All right, where are we at?
2 hours 17.
Any other comments that we need to address, or is it all pretty much like you're gay?
See, Devin's got a lot of gray in the beard.
Hey man, I'm an old man. What do you expect? It's the 44 over 40 club over here.
I don't know what. Oh, it's a shrimp from Alex.
Okay, so nothing important.
Nothing.
All right, so all the 12 people watching us, thank you.
Appreciate the 6 people that decided to tune in.
I didn't put this out there that we were going to do a live.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I was like, whatever.
It's all good.
Once I saw the underwhelming Harley video, I was like, I don't want to get people's hopes up.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, later, nerds. We'll talk to you later. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate it. This is a Garage Talk. This is kind of what we do when we do Garage Talk. So if you want to check it out, go to Patreon. There's a link in the description where you're watching this. There's also links to our sponsors, which helps us keep this show on. And, yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
Right.
All right.